Chapter 1060. Eternal Enslavement. The army of Arcana Masters had already reached a certain level of teamwork. When one army unleashed an offensive arcana technique, many other armies would unleash supportive arcana techniques, increasing the power of the offensive arcana techniques to the highest level. That was an arcane combination. Now there were hundreds of thousands of arcanists stationed there, and they were dedicated to dealing with the devils, insects, and all kinds of invaders that came out of the space and time tunnel. After the Thunder Spear destroyed a large number of insects, the arcanists who leaned back used the arcane spell of the tornado to collect the corpses of the insects and put them into crystal jars. The corpses of the insects were the best materials for making arcane items, and the genes of the insects had been analyzed by arcane spells. They could transform the human body, make the arcanist's body stronger, have a longer lifespan, and be tougher in all aspects. The meaning of arcane spells was to constantly study the science and laws of the universe to strengthen the thickness of one's own civilization. Over the years, under the intentional or unintentional leadership of Gu Chernxia, the thickness of the civilization of the Arcane Kingdom had increased thousands of times, and the foundation was incredibly powerful. Of course, the heavenly axiom of the Arcane Kingdom, that was, the Arcane Network itself, also had strange ideas. It hoped to break away from the control of Gu Chernxia and be independent. That was understandable, but it was a pity that all these actions were still in the hands of Gu Chernxia. Mehuli, Teddy Linyu, Long Xiangtian, Gu Huasha, Mr. Wu Wu, and others were all under his control, and they didn't escape for a moment. He also knew that the Arcane Network needed freedom, but freedom must also be in line with the rules of the New World. If the Arcane Network was unwilling, then it had to be completely transformed. Gu Chernxia had come all the way here, and he would never be soft-hearted. His cultivation had reached the realm of invincibility, and his mind had reached the realm of being indestructible by anything. That was why he had been standing at the peak of the multiverse, leading the trend of the times. The battle here was still going on, and the attacks of the insects seemed to be endless. The insectoid race had one ability, and that was to constantly plunder the energy of planets, cosmos, and the void, injecting them into their battleships. From there, they used genetic technology to create all sorts of armies. There would never be a time when they would be exhausted. Therefore, many people in the cosmos would be helpless when encountering the insectoid race. From a certain point of view, the insect race was also a devouring race. It was very similar to Fa Wuxian's devouring path. However, Fa Wuxian's devouring path devoured everything and attempted to turn it into immortal energy. But after devouring, the insect race turned it into countless living beings. In a way, the Zerg's Tao of devouring represented the old world's worldview. In order for humans to survive, they had to devour plants, animals, spiritual energy, and treasures, thus giving birth to all kinds of humans. In order for the insect race to survive, they had to devour everything and turn into different kinds of insect race. In Gu Chernxia's opinion, there was no difference between the two. Rumble! The Arcanist army shot out lightning spears, killing a large number of Zergs. However, dragons began to appear among the Zergs. These dragons were covered with hard shells and indestructible scales. Even if the lightning spears hit them, they would only produce some sparks. These dragons didn't suffer any damage at all. They were the high-level soldiers of the insect race, called the Ankylosaurus. They could activate the power of space and spit out flames, ice, poisonous fog, and other kinds of attack. The power of each Ankylosaurus was equivalent to that of a god-level master. These Ankylosaurus were equivalent to extremely high-level members of the insect race. Their appearance suddenly reversed the situation. Thousands of Ankylosaurus formed a large formation. In the large formation, flames, ice, poisonous fog, and so on began to spread. Immediately, the Arcanist army began to collapse. A large number of low-level Arcanists began to die. The neat formation of the Arcanist army was broken up and there were no more teams. Suddenly there was a melee. Countless insect race rushed out of the space-time tunnel and began to spread all over the ground. They began to create chaos in the arcane kingdom. Countless arcanists began to fight bloody battles and destroy every invading insect race. All the arcanist army retreat, gather, form a large formation, don't collapse. At that moment, some of the heroes among the arcanists stood up. The turbulent sea shows the true nature of a hero. In the attack of the insect race, it would become more and more intense. But in this cruel battle, countless heroes would be born, and they might even be the son of the heavenly way. The son of the heavenly way was Teddy Linyu. But it wasn't unchangeable. The way of heaven wasn't constant, but it flowed like water. Now it was on Teddy Linyu, it might fall on someone else. Of course, the premise was that Teddy Linyu was courting death. Now it seemed that the possibility of Teddy Linyu courting death was very high, because he was together with Mehuli. Mehuli was also a giant who could pose a threat to the arcane network. If he was allowed to devour the son of the heavenly way, he would also devour the arcane network. The arcane network chose Teddy Linyu to go against him, but if Teddy Linyu posed a threat to the arcane network, he would immediately be abandoned. Gu Chensha could secretly guide the arcane network to choose another son of the heavenly way, a son of the heavenly way who was in line with his own ideas. Of course, he had to deceive everyone. At this time, a young arcanist entered Gu Chensha's sight. This young arcana master had black hair and yellow skin. He wore an arcana technique robe, and there were hundreds of stars on it, close to 1,000. If you counted them in, then he was someone between the 30th and 36th transformations of the Tao realm. He was a god or a saint. At this time, he stood out in the Arcana army. Originally, the Arcana army consisted of low-level arcanists, and this young man had appeared to only have a few dozen stars. But now that the army had collapsed, he could no longer hide his strength. Arcana technique. Mind enslavement. Never changing. At this time, he actually activated a brand new arcana technique. A powerful wave of consciousness rippled outwards. These waves of consciousness linked together to form an extremely profound arcana technique. This arcana technique had never appeared before. It was the eternal consciousness enslavement technique. Any living creature that was affected by this eternal consciousness enslavement technique would unconditionally become a slave. There was originally a mind enslavement technique among the arcana techniques, but it would take time and it consumed a lot of effort. As such, the number of slaves was limited. For example, in the past, Gu Chensha used the heart-stealing talisman to enslave a barbarian race expert who was at the 7th transformation and became Yi Ming. However, this enslavement wasn't very reliable and it could betray at any moment. But now, the eternal mind enslavement technique basically wouldn't betray and it didn't consume one's own mind and blood. What was even more amazing was that the more living beings one enslaved, the stronger one would become. That was because the wisdom, success, and cultivation experiences of the enslaved living beings would all be injected into the master of the enslavement. Interesting, very interesting. This youth has actually managed to create an eternal spirit enslavement arcana technique. This arcana technique is incredibly profound and contains many of the secrets of a person's consciousness. When combined, it can produce unimaginable results. When the young arcanist activated the eternal mind enslavement technique, his providence increased greatly. Even the Heaven Path's providence was focused on him. That was because the appearance of the eternal mind enslavement technique could raise the arcane kingdom by many levels. It was an epoch-making invention and creation. One by one, the evil Enchilodons were enslaved by the young arcanist. They wandered around and surrounded the young arcanist. The power of the young arcanist was getting stronger and stronger. Above his head, an arcane cube appeared. That cube was the arcane module of the eternal mind enslavement technique. It was composed of countless arcane runes that operated on each other. It absorbed the wisdom and power of many evil Enchilodons and formed something similar to a system. Buzz, the network of the arcane kingdom shook, and a mysterious force was injected into the young arcanist. That was the blessing of the heaven path. It was also the investment of the heaven path. The network of the arcane kingdom was the heaven path. At that moment, the network found an extremely valuable young man. This young man was better than Teddy Linyu, so the identity of the son of the heaven path was also assigned to this young man. It was like the emperor found that many of his sons were excellent, so he wanted to choose the best one to inherit the throne. Originally, in the arcane world, there was only one son of the heaven path, Teddy Linyu, but now there was a change. Even Gu Churnsha didn't expect that. What's going on? At that moment, Mehali, who was conspiring with Teddy Linyu, suddenly discovered something. That was, Teddy Linyu's fate energy had suddenly decreased significantly, and more than half of it had been divided. Even if there's a new son of the heaven path, it's impossible to divide so much fate energy. Let me see what's going on. Mehali was taken aback. He immediately operated the gourd in his body, and suddenly saw the scene on the battlefield. Amazing! This is the eternal mind enslavement. Even after Mehali saw all this, he couldn't stop praising. No wonder, this eternal mind enslavement is epoch-making for the development of arcane art. No wonder the attention of the arcane network is focused on this young arcanist. In contrast, Teddy Linyu's contribution to the arcane network is far inferior. This young arcanist could no longer be described as a genius or a saint. His invention of arcane art was tantamount to ushering the arcane kingdom into a new era. The arcane network began to abandon Teddy Linyu and gathered on this young arcanist. It was natural. Chapter 1061. Enslaving the universe. Fate was so mysterious. Even if one was the son of heaven's path and was destined to be the protagonist, with the passage of time, one would lose his aura and eventually vanish into the crowd. Why is my fate greatly reduced? At this time, Teddy Linyu also discovered the situation. It turned out that he was very close to the arcane network. Almost as soon as he thought about it, the entire arcane network would respond. It felt like the entire arcane kingdom belonged to him, and he could take whatever he wanted. But now, the authority had been greatly reduced, and the communication with the arcane network had become extremely obscure. It was like in a dynasty, the crown prince, who was originally favored by the emperor, suddenly fell out of favor one day and the other princes were favored. In the court, the crown prince's words were somewhat ineffective. It was a very bad feeling. Teddy Linyu felt like he was going crazy. But then he felt Mehali's malice. Mehali is not a good person, I've long felt it. This person is the most despicable existence. He actually wants to fatten me up and then devour me so that he can advance to the immortal realm, the supreme immortal realm. In fact, after Teddy Linyu advanced to the heavenly path realm, his communication with the arcane network was extremely close. He understood many things one by one, but he was also feigning civility with Mehali. Mehali had the supreme immortal realm gourd that Fa Wuxian had transformed into. Until now, it could be said to be the #1 treasure in the multiverse. Whoever obtained it could advance to the supreme immortal realm. Teddy Linyu also wanted it. Mehali, I think there's a bad side to things, but don't worry. After all, I'm the first son of heaven's path. Although my fate has been plundered, if I kill the person who shared my fate with me, I can advance further. I need your help in this matter. At this time, Teddy Linyu said, That's right. Even if I consumed this Teddy Linyu, I wouldn't be able to get rid of Fa Wuxian's sealing mark, nor would I be able to reach the invincible deathless level. I might as well use him to make a big deal out of it. If I consumed that young Arcana Master, then the Teddy Linyu would be complete, and I would be able to reach the invincible deathless level. Moreover, this person is now under my control, and he doesn't even know that he has accepted my power. The power of my gourd has already seeped into his body, and even the arcane network doesn't know. Using this opportunity, I can actually infiltrate the arcane network. Unfortunately, if this Teddy Lin you had always been the son of the heavenly Tao, I could have used this opportunity to turn him into a puppet and seize the arcane network. This was like a powerful official controlling the crown prince. If the crown prince ascended to the throne, the powerful official could steal the country and become a thief. If it weren't for that young arcana master appearing out of nowhere, Mehali might have succeeded. Unfortunately, the young arcana master's appearance had disrupted everyone's plans. Even Gu Chensha hadn't expected this. However, Gu Chensha was actually quite happy with this small mishap. After all, at his level, everything was under his control. It was actually quite boring. He needed something to escape his control and give him a pleasant surprise. This young arcana master had actually created the eternal soul enslavement technique, greatly enriching the arcana system and gaining the favor of the arcane network. With this kind of contribution, it was only natural that he would become the son of the heavenly Tao. This young arcana master is called Lin Xiaofan. He was originally a slave from the Outerverse, but he was captured and brought here. Later on, he awakened the power of arcana and became an arcana master. After making many contributions, he finally became an ordinary soldier of the Arcane Guild. However, he offended one of the giants of the Arcane Guild, the Thaya family. As a result, he was greatly suppressed and even caused the deaths of a few of his girlfriends, family, and friends. In an instant, all of the information was transmitted into Gu Chensha's mind. From birth until now, all of the little things he had experienced and comprehended were not leaked to Gu Chensha. This young arcana master called Lin Xiaofan was indeed a 1 in a billion genius. When it came to arcana research, he often had sudden ideas and was able to fully display the essence of many arcana techniques in the most minute of details. As such, his contributions to arcana techniques were extremely huge. He was able to improve the entire arcana system, allowing the arcane network to take a qualitative leap. This was why he had gained the favor of the arcane network. Eternal Spirit Enslavement. At this moment, the young arcana master Lin Xiaofan once again activated his self-created Eternal Spirit Enslavement technique, enslaving all of Hong's army of Ankylosaurus into his subordinate. Tens of thousands of Ankylosaurus swam around him, forming a large formation. Arcana Technique, External Transformation. The young arcana master Lin Xiaofan once again activated the secret of an unparalleled arcana technique. Immediately, these Ankylosaurus took on the appearance of humans. They were arcana masters who were similar to him, but the power within their bodies was still the same. In fact, they had even gained some powerful skills. Arcana Technique, Apprentice Inheritance. At this moment, another explosive arcana technique exploded from his body. The Ankylosaurus that had taken on human form also began to use arcana technique. In other words, these Ankylosaurus had actually turned into arcana masters. This was simply inconceivable. In order for a person to awaken the power of the soul and become an arcana master, other than their own comprehension, basically no one else could help them. Even an arcana master at the heavenly Tao realm could not do this. But now, the young arcana master Lin Xiaofan had activated the arcana technique. The Ankylosaurus that had taken on human form had actually awakened their arcana talent. That was no less than another earthquake. The arcana technique, Apprentice Inheritance, was much more powerful than the Eternal Spirit Enslavement. One had to know that it was the most powerful divine skill that could intuitively awaken the power of the soul and obtain arcana. If it was spread out, the arcana masters could accept disciples in the future and directly turn their disciples into arcana masters. Not to mention anything else, the arcana kingdom's population would explode in an instant. Of course, it would also cause a lot of social unrest and unrest. It would completely break the structure of the Arcana Kingdom. But overall, for the overall significance of the Arcana Kingdom, it was a truly epoch-making and revolutionary progress. It seems that I've underestimated the young Arcana Master Lin Xiaofan. He's actually able to understand this Arcana. Gu Qinsha nodded again. He felt that the Arcana world and the Arcana Kingdom were about to change, and it was a drastic change. The Arcana network was boiling again, and there was no doubt that he would benefit the most from it. The great change of the Arcana Kingdom was what he needed. Those Ankylosaurus were god-level masters, and some of them were even in the Sage realm. But now, after these Ankylosaurus were enslaved by the eternal spirit enslavement, they were transformed in appearance, and they had undergone the Arcana technique apprentice inheritance. In an instant, they had become Arcanists loyal to the young Arcana Master Lin Xiaofan. That was to say, in an instant, Lin Xiaofan had tens of thousands of Arcana Masters who had reached the God level and the Sage realm as his followers. The eternal spirit enslavement guaranteed their loyalty, and they wouldn't betray him even if they died. Moreover, there was the existence of the soul shackles between them, and they could communicate with each other. In an instant, they became a whole. Sure enough, Lin Xiaofan quickly formed an army, and they actually killed their way into the depths of the space-time tunnel and disappeared. He didn't stay in the Arcana Kingdom, because he knew that if he stayed in the Arcana Kingdom, he would probably cause a huge stir. Countless Arcana giants would come looking for him, and at the same time, whether he could survive or not was a problem. Because the Arcana he created was too incredible, it could directly subvert the current structure of the Arcana Kingdom. For example, in the current Arcana Kingdom, those who awakened their Arcana talent were the upper class, the noble Arcanists. It was all based on their own understanding, no one could create it. Once it was created, there would be Arcanists everywhere, and they could be created by humans. That was a terrifying thing. It was like in an ordinary feudal dynasty, someone had refined the elixir of immortality. If the elixir of immortality was obtained by the emperor, he could rule the world forever. How terrifying was that? So, Lin Xiaofan had to escape. When he grew stronger again, to the highest realm, to a level that no one could compare to, he would come back and promote his own ideas. Arcana hide life and death. Arcana vanish completely. Arcana disappear from the heavens. In an instant, Lin Xiaofan once again activated 3 Arcana skills to hide his escape, and all traces disappeared. He didn't know which universe he had gone to. However, in the eyes of Gu Qinsha, he had nowhere to hide. After a while, Lin Xiaofan entered the depths of a desolate universe. The universe was very desolate, there was nothing, and there were dead planets everywhere. These planets were also on the verge of destruction. Some stars were dim, and they emitted light weakly. This dead universe is just right for me to hide in. In my Arcana, there is a power called resurrection, that is to use the power of my own soul to inject into the dead universe, so that the universe will be revitalized. As long as I can save this dying universe, my cultivation will skyrocket. Lin Xiaofan looked at the huge dead universe as if he had picked up a treasure. Arcanists had 2 sides. On one side, they inherited the way of plundering and survival in the old world. On the other side, they inherited the creation technique of the new world. The way of cultivating in the old world was to constantly absorb energy from the outside world to strengthen oneself. As for the way of cultivating in the new world, it was to constantly release one's own soul force, and then create an entire external world, making the external world more abundant. The two were completely different. Now that Lin Xiaofan had escaped from the Arcana world and chosen a dead universe, it was the perfect place for him to cultivate. I can feel the desire of this dead universe for survival, Lin Xiaofan said. The remnant will of this universe is unwilling to die, and I can help it now. Maybe I can sign a contract with this universe, and it will be an eternal soul slavery contract. Chapter 1062. Gods Favored, as expected of the gods favored. Gu Chunsha followed the young arcana master Lin Xiaofan to this desolate universe. He didn't interfere. He just quietly observed all the changes that were happening. It had to be said that the young arcanist Lin Xiaofan had made the right choice. The universe here was desolate and was about to die. There were very few creatures and no powerful beings would come here because this universe had no value. However, for those who cultivated the dragonless cultivation method, this desolate universe was a treasure. It was the best place to train. If they could bring this desolate universe back to life, it would be much better than the old world devouring a universe. The arcanist had the quality of the dragonless cultivation method. Lin Xiaofan sat on a desolate planet and suddenly used his arcana technique. Arcana technique, ecological balance. Arcana technique, vitality. Arcana technique, resurrection. Arcana technique, living variety. Arcana technique, world creation. At this time, Lin Xiaofan used his arcana technique, all of which were creation arcana technique. The environment of this planet was very harsh. The weather was very hot during the day and cold at night. There were weathered rocks and deserts everywhere. There were basically no living things on the planet, only some primitive bacteria could survive. At this time, as Lin Xiaofan used his arcana technique, the climate of the planet immediately began to change. First, there was an ocean. Water circulated, lightning flashed, and thunder rumbled. Plants grew, and after decomposing, they turned into soil. In just a few days, the planet turned into a green planet. Then, all kinds of animals and plants were born, and even humans appeared. The entire planet became a biosphere. After modifying the planet, Lin Xiaofan's power increased again. At this time, his mind began to communicate with the entire universe's heavenly path. This universe's heavenly path could collapse at any time. There was only a trace of it left. Although Lin Xiaofan's modification of the planet was insignificant, he injected some information into the universe's heavenly path. Now, he could start negotiating. Arcana technique, communicate everything. Lin Xiaofan used another arcana technique. The arcana technique flashed and the desolate universe's heavenly path appeared. The heavenly path appeared as a stream of data, and it communicated with Lin Xiaofan's mind. Heavenly Tao, I helped you rise from the dead and filled your universe with life. You have to repay me and become my slave. How about it? Of course, you can resist, but that's not important. You're going to die anyway. If you're not willing, I'll leave this place and look for the next universe, Lin Xiaofan said. The data formed by the heavenly axiom fluctuated and struggled violently. But not long after, the data calmed down. Survival came first, and the heavenly Tao's data agreed. Then sign a contract with me. An arcane technique contract appeared in Lin Xiaofan, and he signed a real contract with the embodiment of heaven's will. This contract was the eternal soul enslavement contract. After signing the contract, Lin Xiaofan's strength shot up. In the blink of an eye, he had broken through the arcana realm to become a celestial longevity, a celestial origin, and even a celestial. He was just a step away from stepping into the realm of the heavenly Tao. Then, he began to unleash arcana techniques continuously. Arcana technique after arcana technique was unleashed. Countless energies began to evolve and brew with each other. One planet after another began to turn green and full of vitality. In this universe, billions of planets were infecting each other, and the speed at which they brewed was extremely fast. In a short period of time, the most powerful evolution had begun. The vitality of the universe became more and more abundant, causing the entire universe's heavenly Tao to become more and more powerful. However, the heavenly Tao had signed an enslavement contract with Lin Xiaofan when it was at its weakest, so as the universe's heavenly Tao grew stronger, so did Lin Xiaofan's strength. His arcana techniques became more and more exquisite. The flow of time in this universe began to accelerate, and the universe's energy and vitality became more and more abundant. In the multiverse outside, roughly a month had passed. And in this desolate universe, billions of years had passed. The desolate universe, which had been on the verge of death, was now full of vitality. Countless planets revolved around each other, giving birth to many life forms, including humans and even civilizations. Under Lin Xiaofan's creation, a large number of humans in this universe had become arcana masters. This was because he had the ability to awaken an arcana apprentice. In other words, he had recreated this desolate universe into a brand new arcana technique universe. With the support of this universe, his strength became more and more tyrannical, and soon he reached the heavenly Tao realm. His strength had reached the level of 10 million arcana techniques, or even more. I've witnessed a miracle. Gu Chunxia had been observing and even helping Lin Xiaofan hide his aura. Otherwise, Lin Xiaofan wouldn't have been able to create this universe so smoothly. One had to know that in the multiverse there were too many powerful people. The changes in this desolate universe would certainly attract the attention of countless powerful people. If something went wrong, Lin Xiaofan would be strangled in the cradle. Gu Chunxia naturally wanted to protect this kid. Gu Chunxia was the only one who could protect this kid. No one else could. I can return to the Arcane Kingdom now and take control of the power. Lin Xiaofan felt that the universe had stabilized and was still developing. He had created many arcana masters, and they had begun to transform the universe. The universe would produce a huge amount of power every moment and then be injected into his body. He felt that he could fight against the Arcane Guild of the Arcane Kingdom. Just as he moved, suddenly there was another person in front of him. It was Gu Chunxia. "Who are you?" Lin Xiaofan was taken aback. He felt that he was standing at the peak of the world. How could anyone break through his defense so easily? The Lord of the New World, Gu Chunxia. Gu Chunxia introduced himself. "I've been watching you for a long time. You've finally succeeded and reached the peak of the heavenly Tao realm. You've begun to advance into the immortal realm. Now you're back in the Arcane Kingdom. What do you want? Your arcana creation, the arcana technique of mind enslavement, the lethality is too great. In a short period of time, you can make the Arcane Kingdom reach its peak, but then you'll fall into a situation where you're the only ruler. It doesn't seem to be the ideal result. I want to ask you, how do you coordinate this problem?" The Lord of the New World, Gu Chunxia? Lin Xiaofan looked at Gu Chunxia doubtfully. He pondered for a moment and nodded. "I've heard some secret rumors. It's rumored that you're the real master of the arcane world. You've mastered the entire Arcane Guild. Now all the senior members of the Arcane Guild have reached the heavenly Tao realm because of your creation, isn't that right?" "You can say that." Gu Chunxia nodded, "but I don't interfere with the development of the Arcane Kingdom itself. You came to me today because I'm going back to the Arcane Kingdom to overthrow your rule?" Lin Xiaofan was very vigilant, but he was eager to try, because his current strength had rapidly expanded and reached the strongest realm. He felt that he could fight with Gu Chunxia. "I asked you if you want to promote your ideas after returning to the Arcane Kingdom. Do you want to turn the Arcane Kingdom into your private kingdom and enslave all the people? Or do you want to carry out reforms so that talents like you emerge in the Arcane Kingdom? I'm certainly in control of the progress of the Arcane Kingdom, but I haven't interfered with the emergence of talents." "If I had interfered, you wouldn't have appeared," Gu Chunxia said. "No one has the right to interfere with my ideas, not even you, the Lord of the New World, Gu Chunxia. Rumor has it that you're the creator of the multiverse. Now all the universes and all the creatures were created by you. You're the parent of all things, but I don't believe that. Now I'm telling you, I'm going to return to the Arcane Kingdom and carry out my reforms. My reforms are to keep trying. I'm going to enslave all the people, build the arcane kingdom into a whole, unify one universe after another, and make the arcane kingdom stand at the peak of the universe. All the universes are slaves of the arcane kingdom. Then, if the development reaches a bottleneck, I'll carry out reforms, I'll open up my authority, and let 100 flowers bloom. At that time, I'll be detached from the world and can guide the development of all beings, including you, the Lord of the New World. The New World will also be conquered by my arcane kingdom. Lin Xiaofan's body suddenly emitted a strong breath. That breath could tear the universe and destroy all things. Arcane, the origin of all things. From Lin Xiaofan's body, the most profound meaning appeared. It suppressed and deprived Gu Chensha. Arcane, deprive everything. Arcane, return to the source. Arcane, reverse fate. In an instant, the highest level of arcane techniques rained down on Gu Chensha's body like a waterfall. In that instant, Lin Xiaofan used all the techniques he had, wanting to beat Gu Chensha back to his original form. Unfortunately, these arcane techniques completely disappeared when they reached Gu Chensha's body. Then, they turned into snowflakes that fell to the ground. It was a very beautiful scene. Arcane, kneel. Gu Chensha smiled slightly and also used an arcane technique. His arcane technique was very strange. It didn't have an arcane module, it was purely for speaking. But Lin Xiaofan couldn't help but kneel. What arcane technique is this? My arcane technique has already reached the peak. My current arcane technique can be said to be the peak of arcane technique. No one can be stronger than my arcane technique. What arcane technique is this? Why? Lin Xiaofan, who was kneeling on the ground, felt extremely humiliated. But there was nothing he could do. He used all the arcane techniques he could, but they were all useless. Arcane technique, dog crawl. Gu Chensha smiled again. At that time, Lin Xiaofan kept crawling on the ground like a dog. He was extremely humiliated, but there was nothing he could do. However, Gu Chensha didn't humiliate Lin Xiaofan too much. When Lin Xiaofan was crawling like a dog, he disappeared. You can go back to the arcane kingdom, but take care. Chapter 1063. The Blessing of the World. I didn't expect Gu Chensha to be so tyrannical. His arcane skills, he said it casually, and I had no ability to resist at all. My understanding of arcane skills in front of him is just like a child facing a learned scholar, and the gap is even bigger. Is this the invincible realm? Even if I created a new arcane skill, I'm still no match for him? At this time, the young arcanist Lin Xiaofan no longer had any arrogance. He even dispelled the idea of immediately returning to the arcane kingdom to stir up trouble. He knew that with his current cultivation, it was impossible to defeat Gu Chensha. It was more like being played like a cat or a dog. Should I cultivate outside or enter the arcane kingdom? Lin Xiaofan was very conflicted. He thought for a moment. He suddenly firmed up his confidence. No matter how powerful Gu Chensha is, I have to enter the arcane kingdom to look for opportunities. Only by advancing to the invincible realm can I compete with Gu Chensha, and in the many universes outside, I don't have this opportunity. I've already felt that in the arcane kingdom, there are two opportunities to advance to the invincible realm. The first opportunity is to get the gourd that Fa Wuxian transformed into. The second opportunity is to advance the arcane network itself. Now the arcane kingdom has completely occupied the entire giant universe, and it's still expanding. The two kinds of esoteric skills collided and merged in the arcane network. At the moment when they were completely integrated, it was possible to achieve the invincible realm. I've already felt that the arcane network needs freedom. He's not willing to be controlled by Gu Chensha, so he chose the son of the heavenly Tao. The original son of the heavenly Tao is someone else. If I'm not mistaken, that son of the heavenly Tao is called Teddy Linyu. Unfortunately, I've created subversive arcane skills, so I've been favored by the heavenly Tao. Instead, I've become the son of the heavenly Tao with more destiny than Teddy Lin Yu. Lin Xiaofan's strength had greatly improved, his divine thoughts and the arcane network blended, and he gained great authority. As a result, many secrets of the entire arcane kingdom were known to him. It could even be said that he was now the most authoritative person in the arcane kingdom. If it weren't for Gu Chench's interference, he could return to the arcane kingdom now. In a few years, he could overthrow the rule of the Arcane Union and the Senate and become the Emperor of Arcane Art. He could control the giant universe, slowly manage it, understand the mystery, and finally reach the 9th level of the Immortal Realm, the Immortal Realm. But now that Gu Chensha was in charge, Lin Xiaofan had to change his plan. Riches come from danger. I must enter it. Once I reach the invincible deathless level, I won't have to fear anyone. After deciding on the plan, Lin Xiaofan suddenly said, "Arcane technique, shrink the universe." Suddenly, the universe he created began to shrink and entered his arcane module. Then he moved his body and entered the arcane kingdom. It was still the world he was familiar with, but as soon as he entered the arcane kingdom, he released his universe. Universe fuse. He activated another arcane spell, and immediately the universe he created was integrated into the giant universe of the arcane kingdom. In the giant universe there was an extra continent. On this continent there were many races and arcanists, and there were countless planets. The origin of the arcane network obtained the origin of the universe, and it was very happy. Once again, a lot of authority and fate fell on Lin Xiaofan. I've made the right move. I'm managing the universe outside. No matter how well I do, it's far less than the fate I get in the giant universe of the arcane kingdom. The arcane kingdom and the arcane civilization will have a great future in the future. It's the combination of the new world and the old world. Lin Xiaofan said in his heart, only in this giant universe can I get promoted to the invincible deathless realm. Gu Chensha, you wait and see. You look down on me so much. It's hard to say who will be the protagonist of this era in the future. After integrating the universe he created into the arcane universe, Lin Xiaofan's own cultivation had improved a lot again. His body flashed and disappeared. His purpose was very clear. Now he was going to find Teddy Lin Yu and Mehali, and find a chance to devour them. That was the foundation of his promotion to the invincible deathless realm. That's not enough. Gu Chensha was also in the arcane universe. He knew what Lin Xiaofan was thinking. That was what he needed. The reason why he didn't kill Lin Xiaofan was that Lin Xiaofan had made great contributions to the arcane universe and the arcane network. He could once again upgrade the level of the arcane network and make his cage plan more complete. The essence of the arcane network was now a giant heavenly way, but it was still far from the invincible deathless realm. If the essence of the universe was promoted to the invincible deathless realm, it could perfectly trap Mr. Invincible and the others. After suppressing them, they couldn't cause any trouble. In the end, after he transformed all living beings in the multiverse, those people couldn't fight against the overall situation and could only accept the transformation of Gu Chensha. At that time, the new world would completely eliminate the shadow of the old world and completely step into a new era. And Gu Chensha's 10th level of immortality, the invincible deathless realm, would be completely completed. It's the same heavenly way realm, but the ability is like heaven and earth. I'll also divide the scale of the universe. The smallest universe at present can be called the micro-universe. Then there's the small universe, the medium-sized universe, the large universe, the mega-universe, the super-mega-universe, and the super-infinite universe. Gu Chensha observed the multiverse and according to the shape, he located the universe. Then, he also located the people in the Heavenly Way realm according to the rules. The masters of the Heavenly Way realm born in the micro-universe were also the micro-masters of the Heavenly Way realm, and so on. Now in the entire multiverse, there were countless micro-universes, there were also many small and medium-sized universes, and there was no shortage of large universes and mega-universes. But there were only a few super-mega-universes. Looking at the entire multiverse, the Arcane Kingdom was one of the super-mega-universes, and there was also the Bug Clan's Mother Nest universe. In addition, there was also the Taiwu universe. In this universe, martial arts prevailed. Warriors could tear the heaven and earth, overturn rivers and seas. It was another set of cultivation methods, completely different from the original Dao Realm 36 transformations. In addition, there was also the immemorial universe. This immemorial universe was very strange, it could accommodate everything. In this immemorial universe, there was a technological civilization, a magic civilization, a martial arts civilization, an immortal civilization, an arcane civilization, monsters, immortals, demons, and countless other races could be accommodated. The universe was incredibly large, and it was gradually expanding. In other words, in the multiverse, there were 4 super-mega universes. They were the Arcane Universe, the Mother Nest Universe, the Taiwu Universe, and the Immemorial Universe. Of course, there was actually a new world, but the new world was no longer a super-mega universe. According to the theoretical scale, the new world should be a super-infinite universe. Because in theory, in the new world, there could be masters of the invincible deathless realm, and more than one of them. The speed of the new world's expansion was far faster than that of the 4 universes. Although I was the one who created the multiverse, the development that followed was something that even I did not expect. It's really interesting. Gu Chensha looked at the multiverse as if he was looking at his own children. Although these children were somewhat disobedient, they were developing on their own. Some of the developments surprised him, but they were still his children. The martial saint has already gone to the Taiwu universe. He hopes to find an opportunity to reach the invincible deathless realm in this universe. The Taiwu universe was formed by itself, not by the martial saint. The martial saint had cultivated to the heavenly Dao realm in the new world, but he was unable to reach the 9th level of the invincible deathless realm. Therefore, he wanted to find his own opportunity in the Taiwu universe. The 4 universes each had their own unique characteristic. Among them, the Arcane universe was the most promising, the Taiwu universe was the most ferocious, the Mother Nest universe was the most savage, and the Immemorial universe was the most mysterious. Among the countless universes, the 4 universes expanded at an extremely fast speed. In a few years, they could devour many of the surrounding universes. As for the new world, it constantly created universes and spat out universes. It never devoured, only created. This was the difference between the new world and the other universes. The one who should reach the invincible deathless realm should be me. Just as Gu Chensha was observing the multiverse, another person appeared in the arcane universe. This person wore an arcane robe with tens of millions of stars on it. It was the human ancestor, Zhang Ziren. He had converted his cultivation to the arcanist level. He knew that this was the place with the greatest opportunity. Chapter 1064. Many protagonists? Zhang Ziren does have a chance. Gu Chensha also noticed that Zhang Ziren came to the Arcane Kingdom to look for opportunities. In fact, there were several supergiant universes outside, such as the Taiwu universe, the Mother Nest universe, and the Immemorial universe, but the Arcane universe had the highest chance, and there were 2 opportunities to achieve the supreme immortal realm. As for Zhang Ziren, Gu Chensha didn't want to kill him. In fact, it was reasonable for him to betray the dragonless cabinet. After all, he was born as the most important lord of the human realm under the Emperor Heaven, and he had his own ideas. What's more, even some of the existences he created would betray him. However, Zhang Ziren's son, Zhang Yiren, also has a chance to reach the supreme immortal realm. Zhang Yiren already had 100 times the power of Long Xiang Tian. I even sealed the terrible will and the ancient Tao immortal in his body. In this era full of opportunities, it's not impossible for him to reach the supreme immortal realm. It's just a matter of time, who will reach the supreme immortal realm first. Gu Chensha, as the mastermind behind the scenes, was constantly promoting the development of certain events. Zhang Ziren, Zhang Yiren, and even the fourth, they weren't hysterical characters like Fa Wuxian, so Gu Chensha could tolerate them. Now, the most promising people to reach the supreme immortal realm are these people. Gu Chensha moved his palm, and a huge fate map appeared in front of him. In this fate map, there were many stars flashing. Among them were Lu Baiwei, Zhuge Yawenhong, Wu Xing, Jin Suibue and others, and the fourth, Gu Huasha, Zhang Ziren, Zhang Yiren, Hong Ling Sha, Lu Chansha, Dharma Saint, Long Xiang Tian and others, of course, Teddy Lin Yu, Mehli, Lin Xiaofan and others. They also had a chance to reach the supreme immortal realm. At that point, another star rose up from the chart. It was none other than Zhao Jiangshan. Zhao Jiangshan was originally the first person to advance to the heavenly Tao realm. Unfortunately, after he advanced to the heavenly Tao realm in the righteous and evil universes, he immediately became complacent. Therefore, he challenged Gu Chensha's authority and was directly suppressed by Gu Chensha. He turned into a bull that opened up the void everywhere, creating one world after another. Those worlds then merged and formed a universe. It was unknown just how many worlds this person had created. As he created them, his cultivation base continued to rise. Suddenly, he seemed to have broken free from some kind of restriction and went into hiding. Zhao Jiangshan had gone into hiding in the immemorial cosmos, searching for an opportunity to ascend to the undying realm. Deep down, he hated Gu Chensha. As a heavenly Tao realm expert, he should have been invincible. Unfortunately, Gu Chensha had turned him into a bull, a humiliation that was second only to Fa Wuxian. Of course, Zhao Jiangshan didn't vent the humiliation to the point of insanity, nor did he vent his anger on others. Instead, he silently endured it, hoping to get revenge after reaching the undying realm. That was much better than Fa Wuxian. Otherwise, Gu Chensha wouldn't have been able to tolerate him. Stars vie for splendor. Gu Chensha's chart of destiny changed again. The astral destiny represented by these people transformed into tiny dragons. Then 5 pearls appeared in the sky, which began to fight with each other. Currently, in this world, there were 5 obvious opportunities to reach the undying realm. The 4 super-colossal universes had 4 opportunities, and the gourd of the undying realm that Fa Wuxian had transformed into was also an opportunity. In my new world, there are also endless opportunities to reach the undying realm. However, I won't let them out until the time is right. Of course, there are still some opportunities to reach the undying realm apart from my new world. That terrifying thing hasn't completely disintegrated yet. The ancient dust sand fell into the world outside the void. In that place, the terrifying thing was still wriggling and expanding. However, it was about to ripen, the melon that was ripe and the stalks that fell. Once it did, there would be at least dozens of opportunities to reach the undying realm. Of course, at that time, there would also be dozens of opportunities to reach the undying realm in the new world. But this was relative. That terrifying thing represented the highest essence of the old world, while the new world represented the embryonic form of a new era. Sooner or later, there would be a final clash between the two. Once they clashed, the victor would be determined. Whoever won would be able to continue on. The fundamental rules of the old world were devouring, plundering, evolution, then destruction and conservation of energy. Between heaven and earth, there was a fixed amount of energy. First, there would be a small dot, then a huge explosion giving birth to myriad things. The myriad things would survive, natural selection, devouring each other, and growing stronger. It was like raising a goo. The strongest Gu would be the only one, and then it would turn into a small dot, then explode again, turning into myriad things. The fundamental rules of the New World were dedication, giving, expansion, infinity, non-conservation of energy, and endless energy. These two kinds of rules were completely different, fundamentally different. Therefore, in the following era, the one with the upper hand would depend on the battle. The representatives of the Old World were Mr. Everlasting and the others, while the representative of the New World was Gu Qinsha. Right now, Gu Qinsha had the upper hand, while Mr. Everlasting was being suppressed. Therefore, the power of the New World was constantly expanding. However, Gu Qinsha knew that Mr. Everlasting and the others weren't his greatest opponents. A true opponent who could stand on equal footing with him had yet to appear. But now there was already such a spearhead. For example, Lin Xiaofan, Mehli, Teddy Lin Yu, all of them were born, intentionally or unintentionally challenging Gu Qinsha's position. Although these people wouldn't amount to much, even if they reached the undying realm, it wouldn't be of much use. But after all, the entire multiverse already had such characteristics. In the future, there would be even stronger main characters who would continuously challenge Gu Qinsha, until Gu Qinsha was pulled down from his throne. Of course, Gu Qinsha definitely wouldn't do as these people wished. He wouldn't suppress the birth of these main characters either. Instead, he would welcome their birth and challenge his position. This was also a form of motivation for himself. Gu Qinsha's thinking was very far-sighted. Not only did he want to use the power of these main characters to increase his resources and reach the undying realm, but he also wanted to go even further and reach the undying realm level 11. However, Gu Qinsha had no idea what the undying realm level 11 was. However, he felt that the path of immortality should be endless. The world would always develop, and he had to break through bottlenecks step by step. This was his path of endless creation. I'm thinking too far ahead. Shaking his head, Gu Qinsha looked at the fate map. There seemed to be some dragons being born, and they all had hope of reaching the undying realm. Gu Qinsha's fate map was a map that controlled everything in the universe at all times. As long as someone's fate chi reached the point where they could reach the invincible immortal level, it would show up on the fate map. After he finished his observation, he found that in many places in the Arcana universe, people with the fate of main characters were slowly gathering and being born. In other words, as the Arcana universe grew stronger, there would be more and more people like Teddy Lin Yu and Lin Xiaofan. Interesting, this is too interesting. Gu Qinsha dispersed the fate map and turned into an ordinary arcanist, walking in a village in the Arcana universe. Most places in the Arcana universe had good weather and beautiful scenery, especially the villages, which were quiet, rich, and healthy. Many civilians worked in the fields. Some planted food, some planted arcana medicinal herbs, and they tried to sell them to arcanists in exchange for opportunities. Lin Xiaofan silently entered the Arcana universe, and he didn't cause a stir, so the Arcana universe was still very peaceful. The roads in the village were very neat, wide, and all of them were solid and smooth stone slabs, and they weren't mined from the mountains, but created by the Arcana spell, Mud to Stone. Among the Arcana spells, there was an Arcana spell that could turn mud into hard rock. The Arcana spell could only turn mud into sandstone, and the more advanced ones could turn it into granite, and the more powerful ones could turn it into diamond. In addition, there was also the Golden Touch spell, which could turn mud into gold. Now, in some major cities, some roads were really paved with gold. Of course, gold was not a hard currency in the Arcana Kingdom, but an ornament. The currency in the Arcana Kingdom was the Arcana coin. The Arcana coin was a common currency issued by the Arcana Union, and every coin had Arcana sealed in it, which had great benefits. It could even be used directly as food. For example, Gu Qinsha saw that in the village market, some civilians were buying slaves with Arcana coins. The lowest level of Arcana coin had an Arcana sealed in it called nutrition. After using this arcana coin, there would be an arcana aura that rushed into the body of the person, and it could satisfy the person's nutrition for a day. The person didn't need to eat or drink, and it could also maintain their spirit and physical strength. One arcana coin could be exchanged for 10 days of food, or even more. After all, the nutrition in the arcana coin was very convenient. The arcana coin was small and easy to carry, and the nutrition in it was very pure, unlike other food that had to be excreted after eating, so it could be exchanged with food for 10 times. That was the currency policy formulated by Gu Chunsha for the Arcana Union. Before Gu Chunsha controlled the Arcana Union, the entire Arcana Kingdom still used gold and silver, and the arcanists exchanged various materials with each other. After Gu Chunsha formulated the Arcana coin policy, immediately, the economy of the entire Arcana universe was completely stabilized, and a large amount of luck poured into the Arcana network, which made the Arcana network improved by dozens of times. However, it also increased Gu Chunsha's control over the Arcana network a lot. Chapter 1065. The outsider for the entire arcane universe. The economy seemed inconspicuous, but in fact, it was the most important part. The economy was the circulation right from the upper to the lower, and the most important part of the economy was the currency, which represented a universal standard. The currency of many universes was gold and silver, while the currency of some developed universes was digital, virtual credit. Even in the beginning, when Gu Chunsha reformed the divine central continent, he replaced it with merit. However, the arcane universe was different. Gu Chunsha reformed the currency and turned it into the most practical arcane coin. Of course, the lowest level arcana coins had nutrition sealed in them. The higher level arcana coins had flame, ice, lightning, summon, and so on. Apart from that, there were also cleanse and repair sealed in some arcana coins. Some of the highest level arcana coins even had immortality and space sealed in them. Arcane coins were divided into tens of thousands of levels. It was the same level as the arcanist. However, most civilians used the lowest level of arcane coins, which had nutrition sealed in it, and they felt that it was extremely convenient. It was widely circulated in all kinds of villages throughout the universe, and almost every city, every town, every village had an arcane bank, where they could deposit and withdraw money. Moreover, the arcane bank was another independent arcane network system, created by Gu Chunsha's Arcane Union. As long as anyone opened an account in the arcane bank, they would have an independent account, which was bound to their soul and spiritual fluctuations, unique. However, in the arcane kingdom, slaves didn't have accounts, and slaves didn't deserve to have property. Even their own lives weren't their own. Gu Chunsha didn't abolish the slavery system in the arcane kingdom, because he felt that at this stage there must be a contrast, so that the arcane kingdom could be motivated. For example, the vast number of civilians felt that there was a lower status than themselves, they would be vigilant, and they would seek to make progress. And the endless slaves wanted to become civilians, but they didn't dare to make trouble, they were honest slaves and made contributions. And the arcane kingdom was expanding, and every day they would capture a large number of creatures from the outer universe. If there was no slavery system, then what would be done with these creatures from the outer universe? Ever since Gu Chunsha established the financial system, created arcana coins, divided them into levels, and established banks everywhere, this system had become the most crucial and dominant one in the arcana universe. It was as if he had opened up the 8 extraordinary meridians of the arcana universe. Even the arcana network of the arcana universe itself couldn't do anything about it. If this system was destroyed, it would cause great damage to itself. If it wasn't destroyed, this system would gradually take root in people's hearts, and even the heavenly axiom itself wouldn't be able to change it. Therefore, many protagonists had been born in the arcana network to seize control of the system. However, Gu Chunxia was able to hold on and penetrate deeply into the blood of the arcane universe. In this village, there was the Arcana Village Hall, which dealt with the affairs of the entire village and even the surrounding areas. In the village hall of each village, there would be 3 low-level arcanists stationed as officials, conducting trials, managing, mediating disputes, as well as protecting and repairing the village, and so on. Every arcanist had to go to the bottom level of the village to serve. This was the rule of the Arcana Union. At the same time, the arcanists who managed the village would also receive points according to the assessment. If the service was not good enough, their points would be deducted. Points were extremely important in the Arcana Union. It was equivalent to merit, a way to promote, and a way to obtain all kinds of powerful arcana learning opportunities and arcana items. As an arcanist in the Arcana Union, the more points they had, the more room they would have for promotion. In the Arcana Union, some things could only be exchanged with points. This was also the public service system that Gu Chunxia had created. In the entire Arcana universe, there was a huge government public service system, from the origin city, the holy city, the divine city, the imperial city, the royal city, the provincial city, the county, the town, and the village. This series of city divisions was also proposed by Gu Chunxia. In the Arcana universe, the largest city was called the origin city. It had a huge area, and the city was splendid. Almost all the powerful beings were stationed there. In the entire Arcana universe, there were a total of 10 origin city-level cities. With such a well-organized division, the Arcana Union could completely control the movements in every corner of the Arcana universe from top to bottom. Everyone, there's a new policy. At this time, in this remote small village, in the village market, there were several knights patrolling, riding big horses, galloping on the wide street, and behind the carriage there was a huge screen. Then, in the center of the market, this huge screen was set up. Then the radiance of Arcana flashed. Then there were all kinds of news on this Arcana screen. Everyone, now you can learn all kinds of information about the entire empire on this Arcana screen, and you can even do business. You can input what you need on it, and then through the Arcana bank transfer, those things will be sent to you. These knights cooperated to publicize some of the new policies of the Arcana Kingdom. Knights were the noble class of the Arcana Kingdom. They were lower than arcanists but much higher than civilians. Every knight had a strong force value. Some knights could even split a mountain with a sword. But although they were strong, they didn't have the power to awaken the soul. In short, they were just using martial arts to cultivate, plunder and devour spiritual energy. They couldn't generate their own power, they were just parasites. Logistics, network, government, finance. Gu Chunxia nodded. He found that the Arcana Union was doing a good job. In fact, now some people from the New World had also entered the Arcana Union to reform the government system of the entire Arcana Kingdom. Just as Gu Chunxia wandered around the Arcana universe to see if his policies were in place, many people, like him, were observing the various movements of the Arcana Kingdom. The Arcana network of the Arcana universe belongs to the Heavenly Way. It's in charge of the rise and fall of all things, the operation of everything, but the government of the Arcana Union has also established its own network system. At this time, in a huge city, there were several outsiders who had hidden their identities, turned into civilians, and walked on the street. Among these outsiders, one of them seemed to have a faint insect in his body. It was one of the strongest insects in the Mother Nest universe, called the Insect Emperor, and it was actually a powerhouse in the Heavenly Way realm. As for the other outsider, he faintly exuded an extremely powerful aura of the martial Tao. He was from the extreme martial cosmos. As for the last one, he had the aura of primordial chaos. He was from the primordial chaos universe. In the entire multiverse, the masters of the 4 supergiant universes, the Mother Nest universe, the Immemorial universe, and the Taiwu universe had all come to the Arcana universe. However, these three people weren't the strongest in their own universe. So, they came to the Arcana universe to look for opportunities, trying to get some opportunities. It's really tight and lively, Insect Emperor. Look, I've already felt it. The system of the Arcana Union has also been established. It's grasping every little bit of the secular world. With the strict governance, this system is expanding more and more. It's about to replace the heavenly way of the Arcana. In the long run, if the two are combined, I'm afraid the entire Arcana kingdom will be promoted, the outsider with the martial arts aura said. Martial sacrifice esteemed, you're also a famous existence in the Taiwu universe. Unfortunately, the subordinate of Gu Chunsha from the New World, the martial sage, entered the Taiwu universe and was ready to transform the universe. You fought with him and were defeated in one move. You weren't willing to be under his command, so you escaped. What do you think? You want to get the opportunity to enter the immortal realm in the Arcana universe? The powerhouse from the immemorial universe said. Heavenly King, you're the same, right? Martial Sacrifice Esteemed said. The biggest universe now is actually the New World. The New World is too huge, it spits out countless small universes and big universes all the time, it's simply a universe manufacturing machine. Rumor has it that Gu Chunsha is the strongest powerhouse in the multiverse. No one is a match for him. He created the multiverse, but I don't know if it's true. I don't know, it's something from the last era. Rumor has it that in the last era, the world was very small, it was called the Land of Infinity, also known as the Heavenly Realm. Later, there was a Big Bang, which formed the current multiverse and the New World. The Insect Emperor said, however, in our Mother Nest universe, some of the highest mother brain is the foundation of domination. Now, the people from the New World have tried to invade our Mother Nest universe several times, but they've been stopped by the mother brain. The Taiwu universe was a martial arts universe. It didn't have a real unified supreme figure. The same was true for the immemorial universe. However, the Mother Nest universe had the highest mother brain, and this mother brain was the ruler and the highest source of all the insect clan, but it had already been personified. It was equivalent to the Arcana network of the Arcana kingdom. In fact, the Arcana network is very disgusted with the current system, because it has caused harm to him. Martial Sacrifice Esteemed said, we can use this opportunity to gain a lot of benefits. I've already investigated. The Arcana network has chosen a few children of destiny. They want to take back control from Gu Chunsha, and at the same time, expel his power. Heavenly King said, we can capture those children of destiny and directly devour them, then we can obtain the same privileges. From the current policy, it's very difficult to shake the rule of the Arcana Union. The Insect Emperor said, I can understand the feelings of the Arcana network's heavenly axiom. He's originally a high and mighty ruler, but in fact, the people who carry out the orders are Gu Chunsha's people. He's like a puppet emperor, always wanting to destroy the powerful ministers. Chapter 1066. Chapter 1063. Return the throne. The insect monarch, the martial priest, and the great king of the battering heavens. These three heavenly Tao experts had also learned the dragonless cultivation method. They could also activate the power deep within their hearts, so now that they had entered the Arcana universe, not only could they disguise as commoners, but they could also impersonate arcanists. However, the Arcana network was getting stronger and stronger, and the control of the Arcana Union was getting stronger and stronger. Even if they impersonated arcanists, they would probably be discovered if their identities were entered into the Arcana Union's system. Therefore, they could only disguise as commoners because the Arcana Union's system wasn't that strict. Of course, this was a deliberate scheme of Gu Chunsha. He knew that many people would sneak into the Arcana universe. If the Arcana universe's screening was too strict and those people couldn't sneak in, they would lose some kind of activity. That was why Gu Chernsha had purposely relaxed the rules, allowing some experts to enter and obtain opportunities to stir up trouble. The insect monarch, the martial priest, and the great king of the battering heavens discussed for a while and decided to find the son of the heavenly Tao, Lin Xiaofan and Lin Yu, then devour them to increase their cultivation. Their bodies moved, activating the power in their arcana techniques, and they were about to leave. They had great strength, but once they entered the arcana universe, if they used their own strength, they would immediately be detected. Only by using arcana techniques would they be safe. However, just as they activated their arcana techniques, they suddenly teleported to the depths of a small building in the city. The arcana city was huge, and there were tall buildings everywhere. The small buildings were inconspicuous. When the three were teleported into the small building, they were extremely shocked. Then, they saw a person appear in one of the houses. This person was a young man with an aura of swords and sabers. His body was straight like a javelin, and his hands were clenched into fists like sledgehammers. When they spread out, it was like a continent extending into the starry sky. In front of this young man, the insect monarch, the martial priest, and the great king of the battering heavens couldn't activate any of their strength, let alone escape. "Who are you?" The three were on guard. "Don't worry, we're friends. You probably still remember a person called Zhao Jiangshan, right?" The young man in front of him was the first person to reach the heavenly Tao realm. In fact, he had reached it earlier than the fourth and the Emperor of Heaven. He was originally the first person to be created in the righteous and evil universes. Unfortunately, he had been suppressed by Gu Chernsha. Now, he had finally regained his identity. "You're the first person to attain the heavenly Tao realm?" Esteemed martial priest said, "I've heard of your legend. Weren't you suppressed by Gu Chernsha?" The insect emperor said. He was not afraid that Zhao Jiangshan would harm him because he had the support of the mother brain in the mother nest universe. He was not inferior to esteemed martial sacrifice and great king chaotic heaven. "I'm free. Gu Chernsha is busy operating in the arcana universe. He wants to use the arcana universe to capture Mr. Ethereal and the others," Zhao Jiangshan said. "Gentlemen, you probably haven't heard of Mr. Ethereal and the others, right?" "What Mr. Ethereal?" the three asked. "Mr. Ethereal, Mr. Heartless, Mr. Inaction, and Mr. Thoughtless. These four people were secret existences in the multiverse. Only a few people knew about them. Most people did not know about them. They are existences that can contend against Gu Chernsha. However, we can find an opportunity in their battle with Gu Chernsha," Zhao Jiangshan said. "Fighting alone won't work, so we have to join forces. How about it? From now on, you must listen to me and act according to my orders. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite." "Zhao Jiangshan, are you trying to enslave us?" At this time, the insect monarch was uncomfortable and was ready to attack at any time. "Insect monarch, I know you want to use the power of Mother Brain. However, let me tell you, even Mother Brain may not be able to do anything to me. After all, Mother Brain is not in the immortal realm. I have gone through many trials and tribulations, and my cultivation realm is not something you can understand. Furthermore, this is the arcana universe. If you use Mother Brain's power, I'm afraid you will be immediately suppressed in the arcana universe. You might even attract Gu Chernsha's attention. At that time, even Mother Brain will be damaged. You better think this through." Zhao Jiangshan seemed to have some kind of backing and did not care at all. People under eaves have to bow their heads. At this time, King Hun Tian was the first to bow his head. "I am willing to listen to Lord Zhao Jiangshan's orders." "Very good." Zhao Jiangshan smiled. "A wise man submits to circumstances. Don't worry, I will give you benefits. We are also willing to listen to your orders." The insect monarch and Lord Wuxia glanced at each other. There was nothing they could do. "I am not at ease with you guys relying on me like this. I need to place some restrictions on your bodies. Without waiting for the three to agree, Zhao Jiangshan moved again. Instantly, 3 bands appeared on the heads of the 3. Each band was dark green in color, and they imprisoned their thoughts, souls, and even their cultivation. What kind of method is this? The 3's expressions changed drastically. They knew that they had most likely become Zhao Jiangshan's slaves. This is the supreme secret that I have comprehended. Lin Xiaofan created the eternal mind enslavement technique, but there are still flaws. Because those who are enslaved by the eternal mind enslavement technique will lose their creativity from then on. In the end, they will just enslave a group of obedient puppets. My outer Tao confinement arcane technique allows you to maintain independent thinking, but you have to obey my orders. This is the highest level. The so-called outer Tao confinement technique means that it is something outside the great Tao. Zhao Jiangshan said coldly, I have created one universe after another, and I have also comprehended many things outside the great Tao. Today I will let you enjoy it. None of the 3 dared to speak, because they found that Zhao Jiangshan's terror had blinded their hearts, causing them to have a great degree of fear. What do you want us to do now? The 3 asked. It's very simple. Zhao Jiangshan said, you first return to your respective universes, and then gather a group of people to enter the arcane kingdom. Then, I will implant the outer Tao confinement technique on them one by one. This time, I'm going to carry out a big plan. Gu Chensha wants to set up a trap to kill Mr. Wu Wu and the others, but he doesn't know that I have a huge plan, that is, the mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. In the entire multiverse, there are only 4 strongest universes. The arcane universe is one of them, the Mother Nest universe, the extreme martial universe, and the immemorial universe. If you think about it, if these 4 universes suddenly merge, what kind of powerful universe will be created? In that instant, wouldn't Gu Chencha's plans for the Arcana universe be for naught? And wouldn't the person who pushed for the unification of the 4 universes immediately ascend to the invincible realm? You're so ambitious. The insect emperor, the martial priest, and the great king of the chaotic heavens were stunned, but they were under the control of Zhao Jiangshan. Now they could only listen to Zhao Jiangshan's arrangement. If you do as I say, think about it, how many benefits can you get? Zhao Jiangshan began to tempt them. But, the 4 universes each have their own will, how can they merge? I think even if one cultivates to the immortal realm, it's still impossible to merge the 4 universes. The 3 of them felt that it was impossible. Don't worry, I'm already 100% confident in this matter. Zhao Jiangshan said, you can't understand the laws of the universe's operation at all. The evolution of the universe's heavenly Tao is different from that of humans. Even in the current arcane universe, you can clearly see that the heavenly Tao of the arcane universe is not very compatible with Gu Chensha. It's even secretly rebelling against Gu Chensha. Moreover, you don't know my methods. You also know that I was turned into a cow by Gu Chensha and created worlds everywhere. In fact, in the process of creating worlds, I had already begun to make arrangements. The Mother Nest universe, the immemorial universe, the extreme martial universe, and even the arcane universe all had a part of me. Do you think the will of these universes will listen to my words? We are now sincerely listening to your arrangements. At this time, the Insect Emperor, esteemed martial priest, and great King Chaotic Sky were completely convinced. Directly pushing for the 4 universes to merge was a huge move, but Zhao Jiangshan was able to do it. It turned out that he had been making arrangements since a very long time ago. The 3 of them bowed to Zhao Jiangshan and left. Zhao Jiangshan watched the 3 of them leave with a cruel and mysterious smile on his face. Gu Chensha, this time, I will ruthlessly stab you with a knife at the most crucial moment. Of course, Mr. Wu Wu and the others must die as well. When you fight each other, the 4 universes will fuse. At that moment, when both sides are injured, the power produced by the fusion of the four universes will allow me to reach my limit and devour everything. If things go well, both of you will become mine. At the very least, the vitality of these two groups won't be greatly damaged, and they won't have no choice but to obey my orders. At that time, Gu Qinsha, I will turn you into the most despicable existence. I will let you have a taste of my humiliation. Of course, I will let you have a taste of my humiliation before killing you. I will not be soft-hearted. A huge plan was born in Zhao Jiangshan's mind. From now on, this world will be my era. Gu Qinsha, Mr. Wu Wu, and the others will step down from their pedestals and become my stepping stones. Zhao Jiangshan's body moved and he left. A moment later, he arrived at a secret cave. Teddy Lin Yu and Mehali appeared in the depths of the cave. The two of them were negotiating with another person. That person was Lin Xiaofan. Baidu search keywords, book palm reading tool, or directly visit the official website and hashtag. Chapter 1067. Four realms become 1 inch. I've found you two, Teddy Lin Yu and Mehali. Lin Xiaofan was very calm in front of the two experts, as if the situation was under his control. I know you're also looking for me, but I've voluntarily appeared in front of you. Don't you want to devour me immediately? Lin Xiaofan, you're also someone favored by the heavenly Tao, but I can see that you've had some other fortuitous encounters. Your power is too great and we can't suppress you. Mehali's eyes were very cold, and there was great greed in them. He knew that if he devoured Lin Xiaofan and Teddy Lin Yu, he would have an 80% chance of reaching the Undying Realm. However, if he started devouring them, he would definitely be attacked by the Arcana Network. Moreover, he might not be able to defeat Lin Xiaofan. The aura coming from him made him feel a deep sense of fear. That's right. You're working together to do something earth-shattering. I want to do it too, Lin Xiaofan said. Mehali, you actually have a lot of potential, but for some reason you can't unleash it. If you could unleash it, you would have reached the Undying Realm long ago. However, I have a way to suppress the mark of Fa Wuxian in your body. How will you thank me? What? You have a way? Mehali was shocked, but then he calmed down. It's useless. No matter how strong you are, you're only at the heavenly Tao level. You're still far from the Undying Realm. Recently, Gu Qinsha seems to have divided the power of the heavenly Tao in the Arcana Guild into minor heavenly Tao, middle heavenly Tao, grand heavenly Tao, colossal heavenly Tao, and super colossal heavenly Tao. It's the same as the division of the universe. Right now, you're only at the colossal heavenly Tao level. You haven't reached the super colossal heavenly Tao level yet. How can you help me? I have my ways, Lin Xiaofan said. Lin Xiaofan said, in short, let's work together to fight against Gu Qinsha first. As for suppressing Fa Wuxian's brand in your body, I already have a way, but you must do as I say. Mehali, don't be fooled by him. He can't suppress the imprint of Fa Wuxian in your body. Fa Wuxian is the unparalleled lord of devouring. After going through the tribulations, his remnant will is already at the invincible deathless realm. If he could suppress it, he would have long since devoured you. Zhao Jiangshan appeared here. You're Zhao Jiangshan, Mehali said. Oh, you actually know me. Not bad, not bad. Zhao Jiangshan was surprised, but then he said, I forgot that your will is currently suppressing Fa Wuxian's brand. You're constantly fighting with it, so you remember everything that happened in the past. In fact, you're the second Fa Wuxian. You've inherited all his cultivation experience. That's right. I feel the same way when Gu Qinsha turned Fa Wuxian into a dog, but I won't be affected by his brand. I won't fight Gu Qinsha to the death right now. The way I see it, the former Fa Wuxian was blinded by hatred, so he couldn't see things clearly. He didn't take things slow and in the end, he died. That's a stupid thing to do. Mehali had his own will. But Fa Wuxian's will is really annoying. He's always trying to transform me, turn me into his puppet, and revive him. But he doesn't know that with his personality, even if he revives me, what can he do? He still can't escape from being suppressed. That's your advantage. You can endure until now, and you still haven't killed your enemy, Neville. But let me tell you, it's lucky that you didn't do it, because Neville is Gu Chencha's incarnation. In fact, you obtained the gourd because of Gu Chensha. He descended and turned into Neville, and as Neville's enemy, you, Mehali, were coincidentally sensed by the gourd, allowing you to continue this hatred, Zhao Jiangshan said. I'm afraid you don't understand these mysterious things. So that Neville is Gu Chensha. No wonder Roland became the highest elder of the Arcane Guild and quickly ascended to the heavenly Tao realm. Mehali suddenly realized. If that's the case, how can I take revenge? Where did the real Neville go? The real Neville had a fortuitous encounter and entered the new world. He's cultivating in the new world. If he has the cultivation of the heavenly Tao realm, you can't do anything to him. You should know that the heavenly Tao achieved in the new world is extremely powerful, thousands of times stronger than the ordinary heavenly Tao, Zhao Jiangshan said. Your only hope now is to ascend to the undying realm. I also know that only by ascending to the undying realm can I be invincible, Mehali said. Zhao Jiangshan, you're the first person to ascend to the heavenly Tao realm. You're extremely powerful. Now that you've broken free, you're free and unfettered. Your appearance makes me feel that you're going to do something earth-shattering. That's right. I'm going to do something earth-shattering, and I need your help. Zhao Jiangshan said, Are you willing to help me or not? If I succeed, I guarantee that you'll all ascend to the undying realm, and you'll be able to injure Gu Chensha and Mr. Invincible. When that happens, the universe will have a new master. More importantly, if you can injure Gu Chensha, his destiny will decrease, and the new world will explode. Most of the destiny will belong to us, and we'll use this opportunity to reach the 10th level of the undying realm. What do you think? Zhao Jiangshan said. What? The 10th level of the undying realm? Undying realm? Mehali, Lin Xiaofan, and Teddy Lin Yu were all shocked. To them, the 9th level of the undying realm was their life goal. The 10th level of the undying realm was something they didn't even dare to think about. One should know that no one could ascend to the undying realm from the heavenly Tao realm. Be it Mr. Invincible or Gu Chensha, they weren't even human. As for Fa Wuxian, he had turned into a gourd the moment he ascended. Now, he was neither human nor ghost. He was no different from a dead person, and the hope of resurrection was minuscule. It was already so difficult to ascend to the undying realm from the heavenly Tao realm, let alone to the undying realm. Right now, in this world, only Gu Chensha has a chance of advancing to this realm. He is planning. If his plan succeeds and he reaches this realm, then we basically have no hope at all in front of him. So, right now, all of you seem to be safe, but in reality, you can die at any time. You are on the verge of collapse. We have no way out. Next, we can only give it our all, said Zhao Jiangshan. Lin Xiaofan, Teddy Lin Yu, and Mehali were terrified by Zhao Jiangshan's words. They knew how dangerous it was. What do we do now? The three asked simultaneously. It's simple. Listen to me. This is one of my 4 modules. Zhao Jiangshan suddenly moved, and 4 cubes appeared behind him. Each cube displayed the embryonic form of a universe. The embryonic form of this universe displayed the Mother Nest universe, the Extreme Martial universe, the Primal Chaos universe, and even the origin of the Arcane universe. The origin of the universe, this is. The 3 cried out. No, impossible. How can you have the origin of the 4 universes? The Arcana universe has given you a part of the origin. What are you trying to do? Teddy Lin Yu, Lin Xiaofan, you're both favored by the heavenly Tao. You're the sons of the Arcana Universe's heavenly Tao, but who am I? I, Zhao Jiangshan, am one of the creators of the Arcana Universe. Back then, I transformed into an ox, opened up the void, and created one universe after another. These universes united to form the current Arcana Universe. As the mother of the universe, I naturally have some privileges. This is different from you. Zhao Jiangshan looked at the three coldly. However, an excellent opportunity is right in front of you. I'm now presiding over the merging of the origin of the four universes. At the most crucial moment, the four universes will unite, and that will be the time when your divine arts will reach their strongest. You want to carry out such a huge plan. Teddy Lin Yu was stunned, but then he said, if that's the case, riches can only be found in danger. I'll follow you. He was the first to respond. This showed that he was quick-witted. Originally, he was the son of the heavens, but with the appearance of Lin Xiaofan, his destiny was taken away, and he started to go downhill. Moreover, he was filled with lofty aspirations, but before he could do anything, he was depressed. Every time he thought about it, he felt extremely wronged. Now that he had finally found an opportunity, he might as well fight with Zhao Jiangshan. Moreover, he knew that if he didn't follow Zhao Jiangshan, he would probably be devoured by Mehuli. Lin Xiaofan's strength was even higher than his, and he was also eyeing him covetously. Wise. Zhao Jiangshan was not surprised that Teddy Lin Yu was the first to compromise. In fact, he admired him. He made a decision in the blink of an eye. This person had great potential, and he was not stupid. If that's the case, I'll take a gamble, Mehuli said. This way, with the power of the four universes combining, I can immediately remove the mark of Fa Wuxian, obtain independence, and ascend to the undying realm. That's right. Zhao Jiangshan nodded. Mehuli, actually, you should follow me and push this matter forward. In the process, you will greatly erase the mark of Fa Wuxian. Lin Xiaofan, what do you think? How can I be left out of this? Lin Xiaofan seemed to be thinking of something. I'm not afraid of big things, only small things. Chapter 1068. A trap within a trap. All right, let's work together to create this module. Mehuli reached an agreement with Zhao Jiangshan, then poured his own power into the module. Indeed, as soon as a wave of power was infused into the module, the will of the module immediately suppressed the restless Fa Wuxian brand in his mind and soul. Mehuli was overjoyed. He knew he had made the right bet. If this continued, he would be able to destroy Fa Wuxian's mark and turn it into his own resource. Isn't that right? Zhao Jiangshan smiled faintly. This is the power of the origin of the four realms helping you. When you pour your power into the module, the four realms will begin to merge and your own cultivation will increase. You should know that each of the four realms has a chance to ascend to the undying realm on its own. Right now, you have the four realms working together. This power isn't something we can imagine. The final transformation of the four realms won't be as simple as the sum of the four realms. It will be several times, or even dozens of times, or even 100 times. I know that. Lin Xiaofan began pouring his power into the module as well. He could feel the power of the four realms churning in his body. He was greatly benefiting. Teddy Lin Yu was the same. The four realms are united. I'm afraid we won't be able to do anything with our power. Right now, we're like nobodies trying to move mountains, Mehuli said. Your power can, because you're essentially at the undying realm. Unfortunately, you can't unleash the full power of the undying realm. Zhao Jiangshan said, take your time. I've already used all sorts of methods to control the leaders of the Mother Nest universe, the extreme martial universe, and the immemorial universe. They'll join our side and push for the four realms to unite. That way we'll be successful. However, when the four realms truly become one, I will choose the best opportunity. That opportunity will be when Gu Chunsha and Mr. Innumerable fight. You must make the same judgment as me. Don't worry. I know that. Mehuli nodded. Now that you are connected to this Four Realms Unite module, as long as you input your power every day, it is equivalent to investing in the Four Realms. The origin of the Four Realms will give you great authority. With a tap from Zhao Jiangshan, the Four Realms Unite module fused with the void. However, Mehuli and the others could clearly sense that the module was still there. With a thought, they would be able to sense it. Alright, now that we're linked together, we're bound together for good or ill. We mustn't have any thoughts of killing each other. Zhao Jiangshan warned, we all have great fate in us. Only by linking our fate together can we display the greatest effect in the future. If we devour each other, not only will we not be able to make one person's fate stronger, it will also cause our entire fate to decline. We know, Mehuli said, but with our current strength, I'm afraid we're not Gu Chensha's match. That's right. Gu Chensha is too strong. In fact, even if Mr. Annul, Mr. Wuxin, Mr. Wuwei, and Mr. Thoughtless join forces, it's not impossible for Gu Chensha to kill him. As long as the price is the destruction of the heavens, Gu Chensha can kill them all. Zhao Jiangshan said, of course, Gu Chensha isn't the real eternal protagonist. I believe he will have flaws. Of course, if he remains invincible forever, I'll accept it. No one can remain invincible forever. Mehuli said viciously, Gu Chensha has been strong for so many years. I can feel that this is an era of great change. Many people would stand out from the crowd, and many would fall because of this. No one can stand at the peak forever. My request isn't to stand at the peak, but to be at the top, to be free and unfettered forever. Even if the sky collapses, let the taller ones hold it up. However, we must pull Gu Chensha down. He's too dangerous, too domineering. Our chance has come, Zhao Jiangshan said, but we still have to wait. When the Four Worlds unite, this huge world will be under our control. At that time, we can control this world to challenge Gu Chensha's new world. I feel that after we control the Four Worlds to unite, only we are qualified to resist the new world. In this way, we can gain the favor of that terrifying thing. Look, in the depths of the endless void. The main body of Mr. Incorporeal and the others was about to be born and truly descend. In fact, this main body was a huge monster born from the old world. It hated the new world, which was why it gave birth to Mr. Incorporeal and the others to oppose Gu Dusha. Without Mr. Incorporeal, Gu Dusha would have long since transformed the entire multiverse into a new world. Those life forms that relied on devouring to survive in the old world would no longer exist. Therefore, the moment the Four Worlds unite, in order to give our new world the ability to resist the new world, that terrifying thing will descend and completely fuse with our universe. That way, there won't be any loopholes when we ascend to the Undying Realm. Moreover, we'll be even stronger than ordinary Undying Realm experts. The four of them kept activating the Four Worlds Unite module. Waves of power flowed back to them. At the same time, the origins of the Four Worlds began to connect, reaching a miraculous level. The origins of the Four Worlds fused here, just like when Gu Taxian fused with the heavenly Tao of the old world, producing something unimaginable. The origins of the Four Worlds are fusing here bit by bit, gathering here and turning into a new substance and power. This is absolutely shocking. Mehuli was overjoyed when he sensed this. Deep in his heart, he had a malicious thought. With the origins of the Four Worlds, I can quickly suppress and refine Fa Wuxian's mark and secretly ascend to the Undying Realm. When that time came, he would directly devour Zhao Jiangshan and all the people here. Then, he would control the giant world of the Four Worlds and devour the source of that terrifying thing. He would truly be invincible under the heavens. This Zhao Jiangshan isn't a good person. He definitely wants to devour me. I won't let him have a good life. This Mehuli still has the intention to devour. He's a dangerous character. At this time, Zhao Jiangshan's expression did not change. He naturally did not trust Mehuli. Mehuli was a sinister and cunning character, and he also had Fa Wuxian's mark on him. Fa Wuxian's crazy will to devour had been passed on to Mehuli. However, Mehuli, you would never have imagined that you are actually a sacrificial offering for the four worlds unite. Do you think it's that simple? In order to truly unite at the most critical moment, there must be the best sacrificial offering, and you are that sacrificial offering. Right now, you're borrowing the power of the origins of the four worlds, and the more powerful your cultivation is, the more you'll be unable to escape in the future. I can already see the shackles on your body. Zhao Jiangshan's shrewdness was getting deeper and deeper. At this time, in a supermassive universe, the martial saint and Gu Chunxia were strolling. This supermassive universe was the extreme martial universe. Gu Chunxia had taken control of the Arcana universe, and now he had come to the extreme martial universe to carry out a huge plan. The four worlds unite to create a huge world to contend against the new world? He sensed it, and suddenly his heart moved, as if he had understood something. This Zhao Jiangshan is quite capable to actually come up with this idea to contend against me. It can be said that he has put a lot of thought into it, and is indeed on the right path. Zhao Jiangshan is the first person to ascend to the heavenly Tao realm, even earlier than the fourth and the Emperor of Heaven. He also represents some kind of fate and luck. The martial saint said, however, he has occupied the fate of being the first to cultivate to the heavenly Tao realm, so it's impossible for him to be the first to cultivate to the peerless immortal realm. He could not be said to not understand this point. Of course, the reason why he has such achievements now is completely because you turned him into a bull, continuously opening up the void, allowing him to create one world after another. He has obtained such training, which is why he has the confidence he has now. Unfortunately, he doesn't know how to be grateful, and instead hates you to the bone. Are all people nowadays like this? If so, I am completely disappointed in the old world. There's no need to be disappointed, these are all small matters. What Zhao Jiangshan wants to do is actually what I want to do, I just need to borrow his hands to complete it. Gu Chunxia said, actually, I have been planning this all along. Zhao Jiangshan wants to unite the four worlds, and I also want to unite the four worlds. During the process of the four worlds merging, Mr. Wu Wu will not be able to escape, and these people will all be captured by me. Also, that terrifying thing will descend, looking for a body to possess, and give birth to an existence that can contend against me. However, I don't care about any of this. Chunxia, actually, it's very simple for you to want to unite the four worlds. With a single thought, the origin of the four worlds won't be able to do anything to you. The martial saint was somewhat puzzled. Because if I directly trigger the four worlds to merge, the will of the four worlds will definitely resist me. Of course, I can kill them, but it would be meaningless. Secondly, I won't let Mr. Wu Wu and the others fall for it. Right now, Zhao Jiangshan is using his unforgettable hatred to trigger the four worlds to plot against me. This way, Mr. Wu Wu and the others will secretly support me, and the deeper they fall, the more I fall. At that time, it will be my final battle. Gu Chunxia was looking forward to it. After the four worlds merge, will there be an opponent that can contend against you? The martial saint said worriedly. In reality, from the start until now, you have many opponents, but none of them can compare to you. But now I have a feeling that things won't be so simple. At the final moment, if you want to destroy that terrifying thing, you will suffer irreversible damage. Chapter 1069. Rising Embers. I'm also looking forward to seeing how powerful that being will be, and whether or not he can contend with you. I hope that this day will come sooner, once and for all. In the multiverse, there are always a few rats doing as they please, and we have to be careful not to take action against them even if we want to exterminate them. The Martial Saint shook his head. But I also need to ascend to the undying realm as soon as possible, lest I die. How is your search for the undying realm in the extreme martial cosmos going? I can see that you seem to have grasped some of the veins of the extreme martial cosmos, but because you come from a new world, the essence of the extreme martial cosmos has always been resisting you. Gu Chensha saw it clearly. Under the influence of the extreme martial cosmos essence, many protagonists have been born to suppress and trample you beneath their feet. That's inevitable. The Martial Saint said, these universes have their own wills, they are absolutely unwilling to be controlled by others, so many protagonists are born to deal with us, that's inevitable. However, I have subdued some protagonists, causing them to believe in the ideals of our new world, thus obtaining a great deal of destiny. You will soon be able to secretly grasp the extreme martial cosmos, borrowing the power of the cosmos to ascend to the undying realm, and in fact, you don't even need this opportunity. In our new world, there are many opportunities to ascend to the undying realm, it's just that they haven't been activated yet. Gu Chensha said, of course, your control over the experts in the extreme martial cosmos is getting deeper, causing the living beings in this cosmos to believe in the principles of the New World, and have already activated a certain ability of the New World. You won't be far from ascending to the undying realm in the future. I know, but I'm definitely not the first to ascend to the undying realm. I don't know who will occupy the first position, the Martial Saint sighed. The first person to ascend to the supreme immortal realm naturally has an enormous destiny, just like Zhao Jiangshan, who was the first to ascend to the heavenly Tao realm. However, Fa Wuxian was actually the first to ascend, but he died the moment he ascended. He didn't enjoy the enormous destiny, but now that Zhao Jiangshan has collected it, he does have some tricks up his sleeve. Gu Chensha said, alright, let's not talk about this anymore. Let's observe the extreme martial cosmos. The two of them moved and began to wander around the extreme martial cosmos, observing the fate energy of the cosmos. Gu Chensha appeared in a city. This city was also extremely huge, and it was forged from all kinds of metals. It was magnificent, and there were all kinds of martial artists in the city. These martial artists could overturn rivers and seas, tear the void, break the heavenly river with one punch, and grab stars with one hand. In the extreme martial cosmos, martial arts are divided into different levels. The initial levels are the mortal martial realm, chi martial realm, martial transformation martial realm, soul martial realm, spirit martial realm, profound martial realm, true martial realm, king martial realm, imperial martial realm, emperor martial realm, immortal martial realm, god martial realm, saint martial realm, venerable martial realm, heaven martial realm, origin martial realm, supreme martial realm, eternal martial realm, Tao martial realm, and undying martial realm. These 20 realms. Each realm has its own ability, and it is completely different from the Tao realm's 36 transformations. It is also completely different from arcane technique. It is purely the power of martial arts. At this time, the martial sage explained to Gu Chensha, I can already see that the entire extreme martial cosmos pays attention to absolute martial strength. The construction of the entire cosmos is actually secondary. Everyone is competing fiercely, but it is not as good as the arcane world, which has already formed a complete system. Even the most profound arcana master can actually serve the commoners. Gu Chensha observed and sighed. He realized that the gap between the rich and the poor in the extreme martial cosmos was too great. In the extreme martial cosmos, there were many villages that did not have enough food to fill their stomachs and clothes to cover their bodies. In many places, because of weather, disasters, wars, and many other reasons, people froze to death, starved to death, died of illness, died of violence, and so on. The experts in the extreme martial cosmos could create the void and give birth to all things, but not a single martial artist came out to help these commoners. Instead, they only cared about their own cultivation. This was different from the arcane universe. The commoners in the arcane universe were all protected by arcana masters, so it was impossible for them to suffer from hunger or cold. It must be known that in the entire arcane universe, even the smallest village had a village hall, which was the village hall. There were arcana masters stationed there to deal with such matters. The extreme martial cosmos was extremely chaotic. There were powerful martial artists everywhere, each occupying a mountain peak. There were even some powerful demons and creatures from the outerverse. It was a complete mess. The only thing worth praising was that in this cosmos, martial arts prevailed. Everyone who wanted to stand out had to desperately cultivate martial arts. In every force, as long as one had the ability, they could obtain wealth, status, dignity, and glory. This was a recognized point in the entire cosmos. Many forces fought with each other, but it actually increased the progress of martial arts. This was because if one did not seriously study martial arts and cultivate martial arts, they would be annexed and killed by others. They would be treated worse than slaves. To transform the entire extreme martial cosmos, we first need a complete empire to include everything, the martial saints said. Right now, it is too chaotic, and there is not enough research on martial arts. Martial arts are not arcane technique. The arcane technique system needs to go through systematic research. The arcane technique is a science, while the martial arts is a battle. The progress of martial arts can only be reflected in chaotic battles. Gu Chensha waved his hand. If it becomes a complete empire, then there will be no external pressure. Everyone will be at ease, but it will not be enough to improve martial arts. So, I suggest that if you want to transform the entire extreme martial cosmos, I'm afraid you have to change your way of thinking. The arcane technique and martial arts were indeed different. A large part of the arcane technique, such as the cleaning technique, the flashing technique, the manufacturing technique, and so on, were mostly used for production, living, and construction. Battles were only a small part, but the birth of martial arts was for battles. Only in cruel battles could the true meaning of martial arts be nurtured. Gu Chensha looked around. In the entire extreme martial cosmos, who knew how many empires and forces fought with each other? In the process of these people's battles, the bloody martial arts will gradually seep into the depths of the extreme martial cosmos heavenly Tao, absorbed by the heavenly Tao and become a part of it. It was precisely because of this that the extreme martial cosmos heavenly Tao became stronger and stronger. If the extreme martial cosmos was unified, then there would be no more battles, and the martial arts would be greatly reduced. For the extreme martial cosmos, it would be a disaster. I understand, there's no need for unification. I only need to control and support many empires behind the scenes, so that these empires' bloody battles become more intense. At the same time, pay attention to not let the bloody battles kill the goose that lays the golden eggs to catch the fish. The martial sage suddenly understood. In his mind, trillions of ideas suddenly condensed. The martial sage originally wanted to unify the entire extreme martial cosmos, become the great emperor of martial arts, and then gradually control the entire cosmos. Now that Gu Chensha said this, he knew that this idea was not feasible. He changed his train of thought. He would live in seclusion behind the scenes, and then use all kinds of methods to squeeze out the sense of urgency of everyone in the extreme martial cosmos, so that everyone would desperately practice martial arts and research martial arts. Although there are many battles in the extreme martial cosmos now, it is far from enough. The living environment is also not bad enough, and there are many empires that are content with the status quo. Through many operations, the bloody battle spirit and spirit must be stimulated. The martial sage said, I have a complete countermeasure for this point. Once the train of thought is right, things will be easier. Very well, go ahead. Gu Qinshan nodded and watched the martial sage leave. Rumble. Zhao Jiangshan, who was in the middle of establishing the four realms as one module, suddenly trembled. He saw that in the middle of the multiverse, the towering extreme martial cosmos had suddenly become golden. The martial arts will had increased greatly, and the power transmitted over had greatly increased. Zhao Jiangshan suddenly looked over and found that in the extreme martial cosmos, many empires seemed to have been stimulated, and were desperately developing their military force. Then, some of the major forces were also stimulated by something, and the speed at which they killed each other increased. Countless martial arts were researched, and countless cultivation methods were also born. Immediately, in the depths of the extreme martial cosmos, the source was stimulated, and in the blink of an eye, it devoured several other cosmoses. These cosmoses were integrated into the extreme martial cosmos, and martial arts also began to flourish, competing with the heroes of the world. This is the martial sage's doing. Zhao Jiangshan said coldly, That's right, the martial sage actually found the right way to manage the extreme martial cosmos. This way, he can indeed increase the source of the extreme martial cosmos, and greatly improve himself. However, he doesn't know that I am carrying out the four realms as one technique. You increased the source of the extreme martial cosmos, but in reality it was all for me, to speed up the process of my four realms as one. My strength is almost there. Mehuli circulated the power in his body, and gradually, Fa Wuxian's imprint was suppressed to the point that it could not move. Suddenly, a will appeared in his body, and within his sea of consciousness, Fa Wuxian appeared. Mehuli, the will of I, Fa Wuxian, cannot be destroyed. Even if you suppress me, I will still appear in the future, and instead, I will seize your power. Why don't we make a deal now? Fa Wuxian's will let out a frenzied voice. Fa Wuxian, I know that with my current strength, it is impossible to destroy your imprint. Mehuli said, however, what kind of deal do you want to make with me? I can give you the supreme immortal realm gourd, but you have to help me with something. Help me resurrect. Let me possess the body of a person with great destiny, and use his destiny as a sacrifice to me. Then, I will be able to recover and slowly cultivate back. What do you think? Fa Wuxian said. You want to resurrect? Mehuli frowned. Whose destiny do you want to steal as a sacrifice? The protagonists of many cosmoses, it is best if they are sacrificed together, and I can resurrect. Fa Wuxian said, After I resurrect, I will not affect your will, and at the same time, you will obtain full control of the gourd, and you will be able to ascend to the supreme immortal realm. Chapter 1070. Protagonist Prototype, Fa Wuxian, How can I trust you? Mehuli was actually very tempted. The biggest flaw in his current cultivation was the Fa Wuxian imprint, which constantly interfered with his psyche. If this imprint flew away and left behind the pure gourd, he would reach the undying immortal realm without a doubt. Of course, Mehuli knew that Fa Wuxian was extremely cunning and couldn't be trusted. Otherwise, if he was careless, he would be killed. But he also knew that this was the best way to send this god of plague away. He originally wanted to use the power of the four worlds to completely refine Fa Wuxian's seal and destroy it. It was a feasible method, but at the last moment it would be very risky. Fa Wuxian wouldn't be willing to be refined at the last moment. At the moment of life and death, he would definitely put up a desperate fight and die together. At that time, Fa Wuxian's death would be very powerful, and it might cause irreversible damage to him. After all, a starving camel was still bigger than a horse. Even if Fa Wuxian was an undying realm cultivator, even if he died, The seal he left behind could still stir up a storm and do many unimaginable things. Mehuli wanted to cultivate to the undying realm peacefully. If he didn't want to die together, he could only reach an agreement with Fa Wuxian and help Fa Wuxian resurrect. After thinking for a long time, Mehuli said, "Okay, I promise you that I will help you find a way to improve and resurrect you. However, there is one problem, and that is that you must help me seize the position of the Supreme Master after the four realms unite." "You're really ambitious." Fa Wuxian's imprint pondered for a moment. After the four realms merged into one, the supreme ruler that was born actually carries a supreme destiny, which is to completely suppress and kill Gu Qinsha. If you are confident that you have the ability to do so, I will help you. But if you don't, I still advise you to let someone else do it. That person and Gu Qinsha are fighting to the death. It's good that you take advantage of the situation. Don't worry. After I become the Supreme Master of the Four Worlds, I will devour Gu Qinsha. Then, I will enter the 10th level of Immortal Realm. You don't have to think about this. Just tell me, are you going to help me or not? If you don't, then there's nothing else we can talk about. I'll use the power of the four realms to refine you. Even if you die with me, I don't care. At this time, Mehuli's attitude actually became tough. Alright, I'll help you. Fa Wuxian's mark moved. He actually had no other choice and could only compromise because he didn't want to die. Or rather, he was unwilling to die and wanted to revive. Since that's the case, we have come to an agreement. Mehuli smiled at this time. He knew that it was only a matter of time before he controlled the four realms. Victory was in his hands. Mehuli and Fa Wuxian's mark have reached some kind of agreement. This is all within my calculations. I will be the one to deal with Gu Qinsha in the future. I will also be the one who can defeat Gu Qinsha in the end and reach the 10th level of Immortal Realm. I will always be the main character, the real main character. Everyone else is just a fake main character. Zhao Jiangshan thought for a while. He seemed to have seen through everything about Mehuli and Fa Wuxian. Fa Wuxian, you are an idiot. Otherwise, you wouldn't have fallen. We were both turned into beasts by Gu Qinsha. I got a lot of training in this process. Even if you deceive Mehuli, it won't be of much use. I can still suppress you. Moreover, you might not help him, and he might not help you. The two of them are scheming against each other, and I can make use of it. Zhao Jiangshan noticed the movement. He wasn't afraid. He felt that his chance had come. He could make Fa Wuxian and Mehuli truly fall. This group of people is scheming against each other. Interesting. At the same time, someone also noticed the movement of the four realms. That person was Zhang Ziren. He was also making some arrangements. Beside Zhang Ziren was Zhang Yiren. The father and son united and prepared to do something big. Father, that Zhao Jiangshan is the first person to reach the heavenly Tao realm. He has a lot of fate energy. Moreover, he thinks that he created the multiverse. However, you are the original ancestor of the human world. Who has more fate energy between you and him? If you fight him, who will win? Zhang Yiren asked. Of course it's me. Zhao Jiangshan doesn't understand our foundation. Zhang Ziren said, in fact, even your foundation is stronger than Zhao Jiangshan's. It's just that you haven't stimulated it yet. When you were born, you fused all of the ancient Tao Immortals' mutated origin energy. Moreover, you also refined that terrifying will. Even if you don't rely on anyone, you still have hope of reaching the undying realm. But father, I still can't improve. What should I do? Zhang Yiren asked. We wait for an opportunity. The four realms merging is a great opportunity. I can use Zhao Jiangshan's four realms merging to become the multiverse again, the master of the human world. Zhang Ziren said, there are too many opportunities now. This is an era of great change. Whoever can grasp the thread of change will stand at the peak of the era. Father, if we join forces now, how can we seize control of the four realms? The power of the four realms merging is extremely great. If Zhao Jiangshan steals all of it, I'm afraid the final result won't be very good. Zhang Yiren still said some substantive things. Don't worry, I've already made arrangements for this. I've also secretly informed Guasha. He's extremely powerful now, so he definitely won't let Zhao Jiangshan's plan succeed. He'll definitely plunder it. Moreover, he will definitely plunder it. Zhang Ziren said, there is also the otherworldly ancestor and the Taoist ancestor. They also more or less know about this plan and the overall situation. The wind is rising and the clouds are surging. Who will win? Zhang Yiren suddenly became excited. Originally, you and I had a lot of suspicions, but now it seems that our suspicions are unnecessary. Right now, we need to cooperate sincerely in order to have the best future. If we attack each other on our own, I'm afraid that disaster will befall us and no one will benefit. This was what Zhang Ziren meant when he talked to his son. Father, I know what to do. Zhang Yiren nodded. However, in the depths of his heart, there were many evil thoughts lurking. Zhang Ziren, do you really think that I am your son? I, Zhang Yiren, am an independent individual. I just reincarnated into your family. You want to be the only master of the world, and I also want to, so I can't accommodate you. Although he thought so deep in his heart, Zhang Yiren was respectful on the surface. Father, what should we do next? It's very simple. I will first talk to Lin Xiaofan. This person doesn't feel unwilling to be controlled by Zhao Jiangshan. Unfortunately, even if he is a supreme genius, he can't escape certain limitations. Originally, he wanted to control Lin Yu and Mehali, but he didn't expect that halfway through, a Zhao Jiangshan would appear and control them all. Zhang Ziren said, this Lin Xiaofan is really unwilling. What about me? Zhang Yiren asked. You go and contact the others. We will also form an alliance. Also, be careful of that Gu Huasha. When you contact the others, you must exclude Gu Huasha. Gu Huasha also wants to become the master of the four realms. Only then can he compete with Gu Chensha. Zhang Ziren said. I will listen to father's arrangements. Zhang Yiren said. Well, we father and son will act separately. While speaking, Zhang Ziren disappeared. After Zhang Ziren disappeared, Zhang Yiren did not act. Instead, he waited for someone. Sure enough, after waiting for a long time, a person appeared beside Zhang Yiren. This person was Gu Huasha. The fourth, Nihility ancestor, Gu Huasha, the brother of Gu Chensha. Nihility ancestor, what do you think of the current situation? Zhang Yiren asked. Originally, I wanted to devour Zhang Ziren and obtain many secrets of the human world. But his strength is getting stronger and stronger. I am not his opponent at all. The human world is constantly expanding and giving birth to many universes. His strength is getting stronger and stronger. This is inevitable. He was originally the human ancestor, the first master of the human world. Although he is my subordinate, I was unable to completely control the human world because of Gu Chensha. Otherwise, my control over him would be even stronger. But even now, I can still suppress him. This is why he is afraid of me. The fourth Gu Huasha said. I want to devour Zhang Ziren. This is something we have planned. Now, the most important thing is Zhao Jiangshan's plan to unite the four realms. What do you think we should do? Zhang Yiren and Gu Huasha had already formed an alliance. Moreover, he had the ambition of a wolf. He even wanted to devour his own father. The unification of the four realms is imperative. Only then will we be able to change the situation of the world. The fourth Gu Huasha nodded. Actually, both Gu Chensha and Mr. Wu Wu agree with this matter. Both of them want to use this as a trap to plot against each other. Now, it will depend on who is more skilled. Mr. Wu Wu is plotting, Gu Chunsha is also plotting. Maybe both sides will suffer. At that time, we will take advantage of them. Such things have happened many times in history. Zhang Yiren said, if the two of us work together, we will be able to obtain the greatest benefits. Yes, you and Zhang Ziren are working together. Because of your father-son relationship, you are always inferior to him. Moreover, he is not a good person. You want to devour him, but in reality, he is also using you. What you are doing now is completely disregarding the karma between father and son. This is a wise decision. A wise man submits to circumstances. The fourth Gu Huasha said. Chapter 1071. The second main character. These people are fighting and scheming against each other, but they are nothing more than a nest of snakes and rats. If I use some tricks, they will fall apart. But they are still useful to me now, so I won't touch them. I'll let them push for the four realms to unite. The fourth Gu Huasha looked at Zhang Yiren. In truth, he didn't trust this trash in front of him at all. But Zhang Yiren was useful to him. The fourth Gu Huasha's cultivation had reached a certain limit. He was just one step away from the undying realm. However, he was stuck at this critical juncture and needed something important to push him forward. At this time, he needed destiny and great luck to be able to cultivate to the undying realm. How did Gu Chunsha reach the undying realm? The fourth Gu Huasha recalled. Suddenly, he realized that when Gu Chunsha reached the undying realm, there was no movement. It was as if he had done it unknowingly. Could it be that old 19 is really a main character? A main character of this era or even countless eras? The fourth Gu Huasha suddenly thought about it. He felt a little discouraged. Gu Chunsha seemed to have been smooth sailing from start to finish. He was invincible. He had never suffered any losses. Countless dangers, great changes in the world, he could always turn them into safety. He was even more of a main character than the main character template. Why was that? The fourth Gu Huasha couldn't figure it out no matter how he thought about it. He knew that in this world, strength was born from fate. A person's strength could be determined by their fate. But Gu Chunsha had completely surpassed the limit of fate. From the beginning until now, everything that Gu Chunsha had done, he was the creator of fate energy. He was not someone who was bound by fate energy. Gu Taxian's sudden appearance had already shocked all living beings in the world, but what Gu Chunsha had done was far greater than what Gu Taxian had done. Gu Taxian had established a dynasty in the divine central continent before choosing to merge with the heavenly Tao, giving birth to something terrifying. As for Gu Chunsha, he had turned the heavenly realm of the endless mainland into the current human realm, a multiverse, and had even opened up a brand new world. In the current multiverse, any random universe was much larger than the human world, not to mention the current arcane universe, Mother Nest, Primordius, and Taiwu. It could even be said that the many universes that were born in the new world were all much larger than this universe. Gu Chunsha's creation of the dragonless cultivation method had inspired a whole new era. People no longer relied on external forces to maintain themselves, but on the endless power deep in their hearts. To Gu Huasha, this was like a dream, and he couldn't tell the difference between a dream and reality. But even now, he couldn't help but admire Gu Chunsha's creation. It was precisely because of this that he wanted to keep up with Gu Chunsha and surpass Gu Chunsha. This was his motivation, otherwise, his life would be meaningless. He didn't want to follow Lu Baiwe, Zhuge Ye, and the others to walk behind Gu Chunsha. Otherwise, he wouldn't be the fourth, and he wouldn't be Gu Huasha. Back then, he had set out on his own and had great ambitions. Among the many princes, Gu Chunsha had caught up, but at the beginning, many sages thought highly of him. Even Wen Hong thought that he was comparable to the born sage Fa Wuxian. Moreover, He was the incarnation of the old world's Emperor Heaven. In a sense, he should actually represent the old world. Therefore, he had a series of plans and goals. People like Zhang Ziren, Teddy Linyu, Lin Xiaofan, and even Zhao Jiangshan were all vulnerable. Fa Wuxian could at least pose some threat to him, but he was already dead, and only a brand was left. Now, he could only attach himself to others and cause trouble. As for Mehali, he was just a parasite of Fa Wuxian. Old 19 Gu Qinsha, no matter what, I hope to become the lord of the old world. The fourth Gu Huasha suddenly let out a long roar. I hope that the final battle will be completed between us two brothers. I don't want a new protagonist to be born to fight with you. The unification of the four realms would definitely produce a huge amount of energy and even cause changes in the multiverse. At that time, the old world would be born. Whoever could become the lord of the old world would have the ability to compete with Gu Qinsha. At that time, the lord of the old world and the lord of the new world would fight. Whoever won would become the true protagonist of all ages and laugh proudly for countless ages. The fourth Gu Huasha was very clear about this. Mr. Everlasting and the others weren't the rulers of the old world. Although their cultivation bases were in the annulled deathless level, fourth Bro Guasha knew that if the ruler of the old world showed up, Mr. Everlasting and the others would become his subordinates. The ruler of the old world was far stronger than Mr. Everlasting and the others, otherwise he wouldn't have been able to deal with Gu Qinsha. Gu Qinsha's power was constantly improving, and the new world was constantly expanding, eroding the foundation of the old world. However, no one knew who the lord of the old world was, and who the lord of the old world was. Anyone with destiny would fight to be the lord of the old world. The fourth Gu Huasha had an advantage over everyone else, but he wasn't confident that he would become the lord of the old world. Who knew what the lord of the old world would choose? Or, in other words, who would have the supreme throne fall into the hands of? It was like the world was in chaos and the dynasties were fighting for supremacy. Countless vassals had destiny, and no one could see which vassal would rise to the top and seize control of the universe. However, there was one person who could sit on the sidelines. That person was the lord of the new world, Gu Qinsha. Gu Qinsha couldn't become the lord of the old world. The lord of the old world wouldn't choose Gu Qinsha. Of course, Gu Qinsha wouldn't become the lord of the old world either. He was thinking about how to make someone else become the lord of the old world and then submit to him. While the fourth Gu Huasha was thinking about how to become the lord of the old world, Gu Qinsha was gathered with Zhuge Ye, Wenhong, and the others. He had arrived in the new world. There were very few people at the gathering. It was just Gu Qinsha himself, Jin Suebua, Zhuge Ye, Wenhong, and Lu Baiwei. Qinsha, your plan is gradually being activated. The Arcana world is getting bigger and bigger, and it will become a cage that will completely trap Mr. Wu Wu and the others. However, now that Zhao Jiangshan has escaped, will this plan pose a threat to us? Lu Baiwei asked. My plan has gone awry. Gu Qinsha said. Originally, I wanted to use the Arcana world as a cage to trap Mr. Wu Wu and the others. However, the old world's instincts have retaliated against me. Unknowingly, the old world's instincts have affected Zhao Jiangshan. It wants him to carry out the Four Realms unification. He wants to use the Four Realms unification to once again form a huge old world to fight against my new world. Then should we destroy this plan? Zhuge Ye asked. There is no need to destroy it. What will come sooner or later. I can only make the old world reach its maximum size and form a complete body. Then, the master of the old world will be born to fight against me. Only then will I be able to push my power to the maximum. Gu Qinsha waved his hand. After this battle, the old world's imprint will be completely erased. Only then will the new world be able to truly control this era. It seems that the final battle is unavoidable, Wenhong said. We might also fall. The collision between the new world and the old world is indeed imminent, and it is inevitable. Otherwise, it would be impossible to trigger the 10th level of the immortal realm. Moreover, if we don't carry out the final battle and drag it out, the battles in the future will become more and more intense. I might not even be able to control it. Now that the old world has formed and the master of the old world has been born, I can still control it, Gu Chunxia said. I have a question, Lu Baiwe said. Actually, there is one more thing. Who is the master of the old world? Is there a definite answer to this? I think the fourth also wants to become the master of the old world. Fa Wuxian also wants to be resurrected and become the master of the old world. In addition, Zhao Jiangshan, Long Xiangtian, and the others all want to rise to the top in a single step. However, after countless calculations and countless evolutions, I still can't see who the master of the old world is and who will inherit the old world. Everything is hidden in layers of fog. I can't see it either. This time, Gu Chunxia encountered some problems. However, the most promising one is the fourth. The fourth is the Emperor of Heaven, so it is reasonable for him to inherit the old world's orthodoxy. However, because I injected the power of the new world into his body, the medicinal pills he consumed from the Emperor of Heaven were not real medicinal pills, so he basically ruled out the opportunity of the old world. Zhang Ziren is second, but he doesn't have the ability to fight against me. As for Fa Wuxian, Mehuli, Lin Xiaofan, Teddy, Lin Yu, and the others, they are just helping others. Zhao Jiangshan is the first person to cultivate the heavenly Tao, but this caused him to lose his destiny, so he can't become the master of the old world. Mr. Wu Wu and the others will become the subordinates of the master of the old world. In my opinion, the identity of the master of the old world is indeed confusing, and it is difficult to determine who will be born to become the master of the old world. I can only catch some clues, but I can't be sure. Will there be a new main character? Lu Baiwe smiled. All these years we have created countless universes, countless worlds, and in each of them, there will be people who are like the main characters, invincible and invincible, but once they reach the multiverse, they are just giant. Are we going to witness the birth of the biggest main character? Almost. Once this main character is born, he will be a threat to me. He is my greatest enemy. Only by defeating him can we usher in a new world. If he defeats us, our new world will be reduced to nothing, Gu Chunxia said. Chapter 1072. Chapter 1067. Complete death. The current situation was very strange. Once the four realms were united, the ruler of the old world would be born. The ruler of the old world would be the main character, evenly matched with Gu Chunxia. Together, they would fight to be the next ruler. This would be Gu Chunxia's final enemy. However, even with Gu Chunxia's current cultivation, he couldn't be sure who the ruler of the old world was. All he could do was wait and see. If Gu Chunxia could see through it, he'd be able to stand above the old world. Of course, his cultivation hadn't reached that level yet. In short, Gu Chunxia was not invincible, but he only had one enemy now, and that was the master of the old world. If he subdued this enemy, then no one in this world would be a match for him, and would be able to shake his belief. However, Lu Baiwe, Zhuge Ye, and the others were still worried. They weren't worried about Gu Chunxia, but about themselves. They hadn't comprehended the imperishable realm yet. If they didn't quickly reach the imperishable realm, they wouldn't have a foothold in the coming battles. Chunxia, the most important thing right now is how we can reach the imperishable realm. Lu Baiwe asked. Right now, the Mother Nest, Arcana, Taiwu, and Immemorial Cosmoses all have a chance of ascending to the undying realm. However, I feel like our new world is much larger than these cosmoses, so our chances of ascending to the undying realm are much higher. However, I feel like I'm still lacking a little bit. As long as I comprehend that bit of essence, I'll be able to ascend to the undying realm. I haven't fully comprehended the laws of the new world yet. I feel the same way. I feel that even though we are the creators of the new world, we don't actually fully understand it, Zhuge said. We don't have any idea what the new world is. That's where we're lacking. Indeed. However, I feel that I have already comprehended some of the true secret. On the other hand, when Hong said, I'm the new ancestor. I've broken away from the old world, severed my fate, and obtained the word new. That's why I have a faint connection to the new world. I feel like I'm not far from the invincible realm. That's right. The invincible immortal realm is an extremely difficult realm to comprehend. Our new world's current accumulation is more than enough for you to comprehend the invincible immortal realm. To be honest, even if the four realms were to merge, it would still be much weaker than our new world. Gu Chunsha said, but now I'm going to forcefully open up the truth of the new world for all of you, so that you can all reach the invincible imperishable level. Mr. Wu Wu and the others would never have thought that I could do something like this. Once you've all reached the invincible deathless level, go into hiding and wait for the right moment to strike. That would save the situation. Everyone in the world is calculating and plotting. However, my plot is the most profound and profound. Chunsha, your cultivation base has reached this level? You can make us all reach the invincible deathless level? Lu Baiwei was shocked. Of course, stronger than Mr. Wu Wu and the others. In fact, I can kill them, but I'm afraid of harming them. Now listen to my arrangements. I'll use the 10th level of the invincible deathless will to help you comprehend the Tao of the invincible deathless. I haven't reached level 10, but I'm very clear about some of the structure. Gu Chunsha said, this level is very mysterious. I've only comprehended less than 1/10 of it. But with this 1/10 of power, I can evolve the multiverse to an unimaginable level with a single thought. Rumble. Just as Gu Chunsha was speaking, many incomprehensible, indescribable, inexplicable, 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 inobservable, and inexplicable appeared above his head. This thing had never appeared in the world before. It wasn't material, it wasn't energy, it wasn't non-material, it wasn't non-energy, it wasn't mind, and it wasn't non-mind. No one could understand what this power was, and no one could tell what it was. Even when Hong, Zhuge, and Lu Baiwei had no idea what it was. It was as if they were dumbfounded. However, this power quickly enveloped them and formed a large cocoon on their bodies. The cocoon glowed with a color that hadn't been seen in the world before. In fact, it couldn't even be called a color. It wasn't a color, but it wasn't a color. In the multiverse, even the highest lifeforms, like Mr. Wu Wu, couldn't understand what this was. It wasn't that they couldn't reach this level, but they couldn't imagine it or understand it. This power surpassed their way of thinking. The scary thing wasn't that you couldn't reach a level of cultivation. The scary thing was that you couldn't even imagine or understand this level of existence. The level that Gu Chunsha was using now was this level. And this was only 1/10 of the neither being nor undying level. Buzz, Lu Baiwei, Zhuge, Wenhong, and Jin Suebua, who were wrapped in the eggshell, were completely sealed inside. They seemed to have disappeared, and only a faint aura remained. This is the neither being nor undying realm. Actually, I don't want you to directly reach the neither being nor undying realm. I want you to experience the mysteries of this realm. At the same time, I want you to feel the highest level, the neither being nor undying realm. However, this is very dangerous because this realm is too far beyond your understanding. If you can't control it, your heart will collapse, and your worldview will be completely destroyed. You will lose all your abilities and become a normal person, unable to progress any further. In the end, you will die with nothing left, and I won't be able to save you. Gu Chunsha's move was actually very dangerous. But it wasn't like he didn't have the confidence to do it. As expected, within the eggshell, Lu Baiwei, Zhuge Ye Wenhong, and Jin Suebua's aura were getting weaker and weaker. There will seem to be disintegrated, destroyed, and subverted by an unimaginable power. But it seemed that because of something deep within their hearts, their souls were not destroyed, and their hearts were still there. The four of them, in their own eggshells, had turned into a small flame. The flame flickered, and it seemed like it would go out at any time. But it didn't. Buzz, at this moment, Gu Qinsha increased his power. The flame in the eggshell was getting weaker and weaker, and it was on the verge of death. Suddenly, the flame represented by Jin Suebua went out with a puff, leaving only a few green smoke, which then dispersed. The eggshell also broke and disappeared without a trace. Dead, not dead, but completely annihilated. Even his energy has disappeared. It's impossible for him to reincarnate, and it's impossible for him to revive. Seeing this, Gu Qinsha sighed. Jin Suebua's luck is relatively shallow. Although he has made great contributions by following me, if it wasn't for him, the calming immortal department wouldn't have been able to operate so quickly. Unfortunately, he couldn't withstand the non-immortal realm, and directly disappeared. This is the difference between the old world and the new world. In the old world, energy is conserved. After a person dies, even if he fuses with heaven and earth, and becomes a part of the source, if he has great divine power, he can destroy evil spirits, reverse time, and revive the person. This is because of the conservation of energy. But in the new world, because energy is not conserved, death is true death. This is also the biggest disadvantage of the old world and the new world. Jin Suebua died just like that. He was completely annihilated, and even the current Gu Qinsha couldn't revive him. He had lost a great general, and one who had followed Gu Qinsha all the way to the central divine region, and had made great contributions. In fact, Jin Suebua's contributions were even greater than Zhuge Ye's. Jin Suebua had been an elder of the everlasting celestial sect, and after joining Gu Qinsha, when the calming immortal department had first been established, he had roped in countless cultivators. Gu Qinsha still remembered those contributions. At that time, Jin Suebua had made alliances, exchanging resources, and doing business, making the entire imperial court flourish. The wealth of the calming immortal department had practically supported the treasury of the great Yonko, and that was how the world had been able to maintain its rapid operations. That was why Gu Qinsha was where he was today. He was in a very melancholic mood. However, Gu Qinsha didn't stop. He knew that Jin Suebua's death was just the beginning. If Zhuge Ye, Lu Baiwei, and Wenhong couldn't hold on, then they would die just like Jin Suebua. The transformative transformation. Gu Qinsha continued to urge the calming immortal department. He couldn't stop now, because if he did, the deaths of Lu Baiwei and the others would be unavoidable. Given Gu Qinsha's current abilities, he wouldn't be able to bring them back to life. However, in the moment that Jin Suebua died, Gu Qinsha had actually peered into some of the secrets of the transformative transformation, and his framework had become even more complete. This was one of his experiments, but the price he had paid for it was far too high. Suddenly, Wenhong's flame changed. When it was about to be extinguished, a bright light burst out. Within this flame, Wenhong's body reformed and swallowed the entire eggshell. Then, from the origin of the new world, a surge of energy came down and revolved within Wenhong's body, taking away a large amount of energy. However, Wenhong's life essence had improved. Undying level 9, the transformative qi emerged from his body. Who would have thought that the first person to reach the transformative transformation would be Wenhong? Currently, in this world, there were Mr. Indifferent, Mr. Inaction, Mr. Indifferent, Mr. Indifferent, Mr. Indifferent, and Gu Qinsha. However, they weren't humans, they weren't even living beings. Therefore, the first person to reach the transformative transformation was Wenhong. Fa Wuxian died the moment he was born, so it could be said that he didn't reach the transformative transformation. Chapter 1073. Becoming Undying. Wenhong was the first to reach the supreme undying level. The 9th level of undying was completely different from the heavenly Tao, and surpassed everything in the original world. There was no 9th level of undying, only heavenly Tao. The highest level was heavenly Tao. Celestial sovereign, celestial longevity, celestial origin, celestial realm, heavenly Tao. These were the 5 levels of advancement. After reaching these 5 levels, there were no more paths. It was Gu Chunsha who carved out this path. Of course, this was also the result of the old world's heavenly Tao and Gu Taxian's fusion. In short, Wenhong was the first to reach the supreme undying level. Next, Lu Baiwei and Zhuge Ye's flames of life swelled, giving off wisps of aura that devoured the eggshell outside. Then, with the baptism of the new world, they reached the supreme undying level as well. Finally, Zhuge Ye and Lu Baiwei were meditating on their own levels to familiarize themselves with the power of the supreme undying level. But then they saw Jin Suebua vanish, and understood what had happened. Jin Suebua vanished into thin air. Zhuge Ye said, "I failed to break through to the invincible immortal level. Just now, when I was trying to break through, I already had a telepathic connection, but I didn't expect it to be so dangerous. I could die at any moment and disappear completely. The biggest drawback of our new world is that we can't come back to life after we die. That's the disadvantage of non-conservation of energy." "That's not a drawback." Gu Chunsha sighed and said, "The conservation of energy represents an infinite cycle, while the non-conservation of energy represents an infinite non-cycle. The birth of the new world has actually broken the inherent cycle of reincarnation and stepped into a new concept. Everyone who is born in the new world is actually eternal, but this kind of eternity only exists once. After death, eternity is lost. This is in line with our philosophy. We have eternal life, so we must grasp it at all times." "How miraculous! New world, old world." Wenhong said, "In theory, all living beings in the old world die, but they have reincarnation. In other words, they are immortal. In the new world, all of the creatures in the new world were born with eternal life, but after they died, they would completely disappear. There was no reincarnation. In reality, they could not live forever. This contrast is very interesting." "Interesting indeed." Lu Baiwei said, "However, we still have to resurrect Jin Suebua. He has been with us for so many years and has contributed greatly. Moreover, he is loyal and devoted. There is still a part of the new world for him. I can borrow the power of the old world to resurrect him, but with my current cultivation base, I can't do it. He must be someone from the new world. That's the law of the new world. Living beings are eternal, but if they encounter a tribulation and die, they will truly die. But once I comprehend the 10th level of undying, I can resurrect him." Gu Chunsha said, "Now that the 3 of us are at undying level, we can kill him. Now that the 3 of us are at undying level, we have more complete control of the situation. Can we capture and kill Mr. Wu Wu and the others?" Zhuge Ye was eager to try. "Mr. Wu Wu and the others are old undying experts. It's hard for you to kill them one-on-one. But they are undying from the old world, and you are undying from the new world. Naturally, you will have an advantage. But killing them now isn't a good thing. After the old world's main character is born, they will increase his power. At that time, the old world's main character will have the right to fight against me. After subduing the old world's main character, I will be able to reach the 10th level of undying." Gu Chunsha waved his hand. "You don't plan on eliminating the old world's protagonist in the bud. You still have to nurture him and strengthen him. In the end, when he reaches his peak, you will defeat him. That's the perfect ending. It's just like how pigs have to be fattened before being killed, and crops have to mature before being purchased. If the crops aren't mature, harvesting them is meaningless. Lu Baiwe understood Gu Chenche's meaning. Actually, I really want to see and know who the old world's main character is. Who can fight against you? I feel that there will never be someone who can fight against you. There won't be one in the future, and there won't be one now. I hope that there will be someone who can fight against me. Only then will I have motivation. Even if it can't be born, I will nurture it. In the past, Mr. Wu Wu and the others worked together with the fourth Emperor of Heaven, Zhang Ziren, and the others to nurture another me. Unfortunately, they didn't succeed. Gu Chensha said, "Now that you've reached the undying realm, leave the new world immediately and go to the old world. You can also secretly push for the union of the four worlds. Also, try to create as many supermassive worlds as you can. The more worlds there are, the more complicated the situation will be, and the stronger the main character of the old world will be. You can even secretly get that main character to accept the ideals and karma of the new world, making it easier to subdue him in the future. I don't want to kill the main character of the old world, because if I do, another main character will be born in the future, generation after generation. Only by subduing this main character, and getting him to acknowledge the ideals of the new world will we be able to get rid of him once and for all." I see. Everyone understood now. The stronger the main character of the old world was, the better. Moreover, Gu Chensha couldn't kill this person. It was best if he could change the main character's thoughts and actions. Only then would he be able to get rid of all traces of the old world. Otherwise, even if he killed the main character of this old world, the remaining poison would not disappear. After a long period of time, another main character would appear to oppose Gu Chensha. This would continue for generations, and there would be no end to it. It was very frustrating. For example, in 10,000 years, the main character of the old world would be born, but he would be killed by Gu Chensha, and the multivariate universe would temporarily settle down. However, in another 10,000 years, or even tens of thousands of years, the main character would be born again. When that time came, there would be a huge storm, and who knew how many people would die and how many worlds would be destroyed. Of course, Gu Chensha wanted to solve everything once and for all. Swish, swish, swish. After the discussion, Wen Hong, Lu Baiwe, and Zhuge Ye left the new world and disappeared. They would hide themselves, and no one would find them. Then, they would push forward the development of the multivariate universe. In the current multivariate universe, there were only 4 supercolossal universes: the Mother Nest universe, the Arcane Technique universe, the Extreme Martial universe, and the Immemorial universe. However, if these 3 supreme immortals pushed forward, it was likely that even more supercolossal universes would be born. The unique characteristic of these supercolossal universes was that they could nurture opportunities to reach the supreme immortal realm. Of course, it was just an opportunity. There was no guarantee that they would reach the supreme immortal realm. Rumble. 3 more supreme immortals appeared in the multivariate universe. Immediately, a profound change occurred. Back in the day, Fa Wuxian hadn't reached the supreme immortal realm. He kept devouring, which led to the multivariate universe's backlash. If he had reached the supreme immortal realm at that time, then the multivariate universe wouldn't have been able to do anything to him. Billions of universes, completely revealed. When Gu Chensha saw the 3 of them leave, he once again activated his River of Fate. The River of Fate expanded by trillions of times. It flowed endlessly, and everyone's fate was within it. Even Mr. Wu Wu and the others were revealed. Originally, if one reached the supreme immortal realm, they would have long since escaped the control of fate. However, Gu Chenche's fate was no ordinary fate. Ever since Jin Suebu's death, he had gained a deeper understanding of the supreme immortal realm. Therefore, when he observed the multivariate universe, He could see the fate of every living being and non-living being more clearly. The main character of the old world should have already been born. However, I don't know who it is. Moreover, this main character doesn't even know that he's the main character of the old world. He might even be a minor character. Just like me back in the day, I was also a minor character, a prince who wasn't well received. Right now, I'm sending Lu Baiwe, Wenhong, and Zhuge Ye out to stir things up. This way, the fishes, prawns, crabs, and turtles will show themselves. It's like a pond. The water surface is calm, and you'll never know what's hidden inside. But if you keep stirring things up, you'll startle the snake, and the water will turn into a muddy soup. That way, many things won't be able to hide and will show themselves. Gu Chencha's stirring things up to startle the snake was a grand scheme, but it wasn't a conspiracy. In the boundless river of fate, the fates of countless living beings and non-living beings, and even those who weren't living beings or non-living beings, appeared in the river. Dragons and snakes mingled in the river. The heavenly Tao realm experts were like dragons, swimming and growing. However, some of them had chaotic fate and were plagued by bad luck. They were actually devoured by some minor characters, and those minor characters quickly grew up. In the river of fate, everyone's fate changed from a tiny ant to a shrimp, a small fish, a large fish, a huge fish, a python, a whale, a flood dragon, and a true dragon. Gu Chensha was constantly observing and adjusting them. He could even change anyone's fate. By adjusting their fate, that person would turn from an ant to a true dragon. The fate of Mr. Everlasting and the others was also included. They didn't appear as true dragons, but as stars. They floated in the river of fate. Sometimes they would struggle to fly out of the river, and other times they would fall back into the river. It was like the sun rising and setting over the sea. This meant that they were unable to escape the restraints of the river of fate. Sure enough, Gu Chensha discovered some clues when he was manipulating the fates of countless living beings. Chapter 1074. Chapter 232. Discovering Fate. How many living beings and non-living beings were there in the multivariate universe? There was no one who could count the number. Even the smallest universe had countless living beings. Snakes, bugs, rats, ants, and even bacteria were all contained within. And Gu Chencha's river of fate revealed everything. All the fate was revealed down to the tiniest detail. There were no flaws at all. In the entire world, only he had such strength. He was also the only one with such a realm and cultivation base. He observed the fate of the living beings and non-living beings in the river of fate. He discovered that the fate energy of many tiny ant-like living beings was rapidly growing. There were over 100 of them, and they were constantly devouring all sorts of huge fishes, pythons, giant whales, etc. They were growing into colossal existences. However, this was considered a normal phenomenon. In the myriad worlds, there would always be minor characters who would experience a reversal and obtain great fate energy, attaining supreme innate technique. However, Gu Chensha still felt that there was something strange about this. It was because the speed at which these ants grew was simply too fast. Moreover, they were constantly fighting each other, as though they were nurturing venomous insects. There was also a possibility that these ants didn't comprehend the Dragonless Heart Sutra and didn't awaken their own spirit force. They were all relying on the power of the old world, devouring and plundering to grow. This might very well be the old world choosing the main characters. Many people who seemed to be the main characters were born. They devoured each other and fought against each other, nurturing the strongest existences. This clearly wasn't normal. Naturally, Gu Chensha didn't stop such actions. The changes of these people in the multivariate universe didn't pose a threat to him. In fact, they could even allow him to observe the situation of the old world. Swoosh! His body also disappeared. He headed to a universe in the multivariate universe. This universe was a supergigantic universe. It was just a step away from condensing and evolving into a supreme hegemon universe. It was in existence on the same level as the Arcana universe, Mother Nest universe, Extreme Martial universe, and Primal universe. In truth, there were many such universes in the multivariate universe. However, none of them were able to advance into a supreme hegemon universe. However, Gu Chensha could tell that as long as some of the supergigantic universes could advance into a supreme hegemon universe, the person who pushed for it would be able to obtain great accomplishment. The current 4 great super-megacosmoses were actually formed naturally and not pushed by some existence. Even if it was Zhao Jiangshan, he only played a minor role and wasn't the actual driving force. However, in the following process, many protagonists would appear in many mega-universes. These protagonists would drive the operation of these mega-universes, turning them into mega-universes. If among these protagonists there were people who had cultivated the Dragonless Heart Sutra, Gu Chensha felt that it was alright. There was nothing strange about it. But now, among these people, all of them were the foundation practitioners of the old world who mainly relied on devouring to cultivate. That was definitely a conspiracy. However, Gu Chensha did not care about these conspiracies. He wanted to see how these schemes would be carried out. Shua. Right now, he had arrived at a place called the Nine Xian Cosmos. This Nine Xian Cosmos was a mega-universe. Within this cosmos, it was a very ordinary cosmos. Most of the people here cultivated the immortal Tao, and their cultivation levels were still based on the ancient system. Tao Realm 36 Transformations, Heavenly Lord, Heavenly Longevity, Heavenly Essence, Heaven Realm, and Heavenly Tao. Everything was done according to the prescribed order. Moreover, there were very few people who had cultivated the Dragonless Heart Sutra. Moreover, within this cosmos, the strongest power was the Nine Xian dynasty. This dynasty was somewhat similar to the great Yonko court of the Endless Mainland. The Nine Xian dynasty had set down a law that forbade the appearance of anyone who cultivated the Dragonless Heart Sutra or those who had awakened their spirit force. For such people, the Nine Xian dynasty only had a single word for them: kill them. Completely destroy them. For people who had awakened their spirit force, the Nine Xian dynasty called them heretics. They were even more repulsed than the most vicious and evil devils. They felt that these heretics were the destroyers of the world, the corruptors, the destroyers of order. In the future, they would bring irreparable damage to the world. For ordinary evil devils, even if they had reached the level of Fa Wuxian, they would at most devour. They still had to abide by the law of conservation of energy, natural selection, and survival of the fittest. But for people who had awakened their spirit force, they would be challenging the rules of the old world. The current emperor of the Nine Xian dynasty was known as Xian Gai Dao. It meant that his cultivation base could cover the great Tao. Right now, this emperor's cultivation base was also at the heavenly Tao realm. Moreover, he was extremely powerful. Even in the multivariate universe, he could be ranked in the top 100. In Gu Chensha's River of Destiny, by observing the amount of fate energy, he would be able to derive the ranking of the experts in the multivariate universe. He was fully deserving of being number 1. No one could be a match for him. At the very least, for now, there was basically no one who could pose a threat to him. Ranked 2nd was Mr. Wuxin, ranked 3rd was Mr. Wuxin, ranked 4th was Mr. Wei, ranked 5th was Wen Hong, ranked 7th was Liu Baiyue, and ranked 8th was Zhu Ge. These were all people who had cultivated to the undying realm. Next, the one ranked 9th was actually the 4th, Gu Huasha. The 10th was Zhang Ziran. The 11th was Zhao Jiangshan, and the 12th was Mehali. Naturally, Mehali's cultivation base would still continue to rise. If he succeeded in his gamble with Fa Wuxian, at that time, he would enter the top group and become an expert at the undying realm. The emperor of the 9 Xian dynasty, Xian Gaidao, is ranked 84th in terms of strength and destiny. To the myriad worlds of the multivariate universe, he is a tyrannical existence. You must know that there are dozens of experts from our new world. Gu Qinsha observed. Among the top 100 experts in the multivariate universe, other than Gu Qinsha, Lu Baiwei, Wen Hong, and Zhuge Ye, there were also some heavenly Tao realm experts, such as Ancestor of Personal Loyalty's foster son, Long Zifei, Long Yun, Yuhan Lu, Longevity God, Chang Yuzhou, Chang Weiyang, Martial Sage, Lord of Tai, Tai Mingdi, Lu Yu, God of 5 Seasons, and others. These people who had fought alongside Gu Qinsha had all cultivated the strongest mystiques in the New World and cultivated to the heavenly Tao realm that no one could compare to. Those who had cultivated to the heavenly Tao realm in the New World were thousands of times stronger than those who had cultivated under ordinary circumstances. Therefore, in terms of strength, the overall strength of the New World could basically crush the Old World. Naturally, this was because the main character of the Old World had yet to mature and appear. In the 9 Xian cosmos, Gu Qinsha discovered the aura of the main character. Of course, this was just the aura of the main character. The true main character might not be him. He still had to fight with many other main characters and kill them all before he could become the true main character. However, this main character was not the 9 Xian Cosmos Emperor, nor was it his prince. Instead, it was one of his subordinate. Gu Qinsha didn't linger around for too long. With a single movement, he arrived at the capital of the 9 Xian dynasty. This capital was extremely huge, and there were tall buildings everywhere. There were even huge floating towers floating in the sky. There were also many hidden spacetime within the capital, and there were also many towering castles. This was a world of the immortal Tao, so it wasn't strange for the capital of the dynasty to be so majestic. At this time, Gu Qinsha arrived at a huge courtyard in the depths of a space. This could be said to be a small world, and there were many men and women living here. It was the residence of a subject. This subject was an extremely exalted grand tutor of the 9 Xian dynasty. His name was Zhou Yuhao, and he had 100 sons. One of them was called Zhou Yang. He didn't like this son, and his status in the clan was extremely low. But in truth, this Zhou Yang had the fate of a main character. In other words, if nothing unexpected happened, the entire 9 Xian cosmos and the 9 Xian dynasty would eventually be under Zhou Yang's control. However, this Zhou Yang was still one of the unfavored sons of the clan. The reason why Gu Qinsha came here was because he wanted to catalyze this Zhou Yang into accepting his ideals. After that, he wanted him to devour the other main characters one by one, becoming the sole main character and submitting to him. In Gu Qinsha's view, this Zhou Yang hadn't had any fortuitous encounters yet, so he was still very easy to mold. With a thought, he arrived at a small courtyard. This space was like a small world, with mountains and rivers surrounding it, the sun, moon, and stars, as well as courtyards and fields. This place was created by Grand Tutor Zhou Yuhao. Grand Tutor Zhou Yuhao's cultivation base was at the Heaven Realm, and he hadn't reached the Heavenly Tao Realm yet. But even at this realm, he was extremely exalted. That was why the Emperor of the 9 Xian dynasty regarded him so highly, and he became a Grand Tutor. In the most remote courtyard there was a young man living there. This young man had delicate features, but there was an extremely ruthless look in his eyes, as though he would never admit defeat. His personality was tyrannical, and he wouldn't compromise on anything. It was precisely because of this that he wasn't liked by the clan, and he couldn't get along well with anyone. I, Zhou Yang, will always adhere to my ideals, and I will never back down. Even if the world doesn't accept me, I will still continue walking down this path. Zhou Yang paced back and forth in his own courtyard. There were some formations placed around the courtyard, locking him up. Clearly, he was being punished. I'm a step too late. The instant Gu Chernsha arrived at this courtyard, he saw a ray of light appear on Zhou Yang's body, as if some sort of mysterious power had been bestowed upon him. Gu Chernsha saw that it was a system formed from the will of the old world. The immortal eternal creation system has been activated. Host, please receive information. A voice sounded in the depths of Zhou Yang's mind. The will of the old world has sensed my arrival, so it has been bestowing a fortuitous encounter upon him. It's like I'm preparing to draw on a piece of white paper, but the will of the old world has already begun to paint on it. Gu Chernsha frowned. Chapter 1075. Zhou Yang, the Immortal and Eternal Creation System. This was Zhou Yang's fortuitous encounter. All main characters had fortuitous encounters. Only with fortuitous encounters could one grow quickly. And the stronger the main character, the more fortuitous encounters they would have. This was already a regular pattern. Over the years, Gu Chernsha had seen who knew how many main characters. He had even created many systems himself, such as the Yin and Yang system and the Fate system for some main characters to obtain, allowing them to grow. The way he saw it, main characters could be divided into different categories: minor main characters, major main characters, super main characters, etc. In front of the immortal and eternal creation system, all the other systems paled in comparison. If it had to be counted, then it should be the first system. It contained the principles of immortality, eternity, all things, growth, reincarnation, life and death, and all sorts of other supreme principles. Zhou Yang would be able to reach the heavens in a single step after obtaining this system. As long as he followed what the system did, he would be able to become a true overlord and control the 9 mysterious universe. Then, he would be able to push the 9 mysterious universe to become a super overlord and reach the undying realm. Of course, this was just a possibility. Zhou Yang still needed to devour other main characters and obtain their abilities. Gu Chernsha had originally wanted to slowly influence Zhou Yang and become his master, but it seemed like that plan had been foiled. The will of the old world had infused him and nurtured him. This way, Gu Chernsha's plan would be foiled. It seems like the will of the old world is ahead of me, but it doesn't matter. Gu Chernsha had calculated billions of plans in the blink of an eye and decided on one thing. After Zhou Yang obtained the system, he appeared in front of him. Zhou Yang had no idea what was going on. Just as he was immersed in the system's operations, a person suddenly appeared in front of him. It was a middle-aged man dressed in an ancient robe. He had the demeanor of a transcendent being, and he looked like a peerless figure who could laugh at the 9 heavens. Even with Zhou Yang's arrogance, he felt like he was looking up at a tall mountain. "Who are you? Why are you here?" Zhou Yang said calmly. He had obtained the immortal and eternal creation system in his body, which gave him great confidence. He was no longer the unwelcome son. You just acquired the deathless and everlasting all-being creation system, which can steal the good fortune of ghosts and gods. It can cause transformations to all living things in heaven and earth. I'm here to teach you, lest you lose your heart because of the system, and cause the destruction of heaven and earth. Gu Chernsha was now a person of virtue and prestige. What system? I don't understand what you're saying. At this time, a crafty glint flashed in Zhou Yang's eyes. He didn't want to admit that he had obtained the system. This is the world of the 9 Xian Empire's Grand Tutor. How can you barge in without permission? Deep in his heart, he thought, I actually got the immortal and eternal creation system, and the first mission it gave me was to deceive this person. This person definitely has a shady background, and is my enemy. He might even want to steal my system. If I can deceive this person, the system will reward me greatly. Within his sea of consciousness, a massive system of data continuously flowed, giving out a mission. The mission was, deceive this dangerous person in front of you and complete this mission. You will be rewarded with the cultivation method of the Supreme Heavenly Tao Life and Death Creation Art and the Supreme Heavenly Tao Life and Death Creation Body. This body is immortal and indestructible, impervious to all arts and unbreakable by all Taos. This mission could allow him to reach the heavens in a single step. As such, Zhou Yang naturally had to follow the system's mission to deceive Gu Chensha. Gu Chensha frowned but then relaxed. Since it's like this, I've mistaken you for someone else. Young man, you're on your own now. I see that your cultivation is still quite weak. Since we've met by fate, I'll also give you a system. Gu Chensha waved his hand, and a massive stream of data appeared and descended into Zhou Yang's body. Zhou Yang immediately heard another voice: system binding, soul connection. Boundless spirit. System activation, whoosh. After Gu Chensha bound the system to Zhou Yang, it immediately disappeared. This made Zhou Yang feel quite relieved. System, I just tricked this person and left. Where's my reward? Zhou Yang asked the immortal and eternal creation system. However, at this moment, he suddenly realized that another system had appeared in his mind. The immortal and eternal creation system had turned into a sphere and was opposing the infinite spiritual existence system that he had just obtained. The immortal and eternal creation system was a sphere, while the infinite and infinite mental existence and non-existence system was a cube. The immortal and eternal creation system represented the reincarnation of the old world, so it was a sphere representing cycle and conservation. On the other hand, the infinite mental existence and non-existence system represented the endless non-circulation of the new world, so its form was a cube. Gu Chensha's meaning was clear. He wanted to give the system to Zhou Yang and let him choose. Zhou Yang, you must devour this system, the sphere said. The immortal and eternal creation system sent out a thought, and it was a compulsory mission. If you don't complete this mission, the system will leave your body and cause the host to die. Zhou Yang, don't listen to him. The limitless spiritual existence system spoke. This system is sucking your blood essence and making you its slave. It will give you many missions and make you do all kinds of things. In the end, it will leave you. If you fall for its tricks, I'm afraid you won't be able to turn back in this lifetime. Then do you want to give me missions? Zhou Yang saw the two systems in his sea of consciousness and couldn't help but feel confused. I won't give you missions. I will only teach you all sorts of ultimate martial arts and unlock the unlimited power in your body, so that you can reach the ultimate level of cultivation. The cube's infinite mind existence system said, You can think of me as a teacher. Don't listen to him. At this point, the immortal everlasting creation system said, He's saying he's going to give you unlimited power, but he's actually giving you the power to break the balance of the universe. He's going to make you more terrifying than devil ghosts. As you know, the 9 profound cosmos hates heretics the most. Heretics who break the laws of the universe. If you trust him, you'll become a heretic. At that time, you'll be a rat on the street and everyone will beat you up. What? Zhou Yang felt a little uncomfortable. It's the Tao of heretics? That person was a heretic? What heretic? That's the highest cultivation path in the multiverse. Only your 9 mysterious universe has sealed it. The strongest universes, the New World, and the Arcana universe, which one of them doesn't focus on the power of the soul? The cube laughed coldly. Zhou Yang, do you want to spend the rest of your life in this tiny 9 mysterious universe? Don't you want to go out and experience the world? Zhou Yang's heart was moved. He knew that there were many universes outside of the 9 mysterious universe. Heaven and earth were boundless, and the 9 mysterious universe couldn't contain his heart. Although he was a nobody and was not well liked, it was precisely because of this that he was too arrogant and ambitious. Otherwise, he would not have been chosen by the old world's will to be the protagonist. Zhou Yang, don't listen to him. If you become a heretic, You won't even be able to leave the nine mysterious universe. You'll be killed. Your brothers and sisters, your parents, they'll all want to kill you. Do you know how cruel the punishment for heretics in the nine mysterious dynasty is? Zhou Yang, this is nothing. My system can protect you. Once your cultivation base is deep enough, the nine mysterious universe will be under your control. Zhou Yang, this is a devil, a heretic. Work with me and complete my mission. I'll help you devour this heretic system and advance your cultivation base. Zhou Yang, this system wants you to complete all sorts of missions. In truth, it wants you to absorb your blood and use up your nascent spirit. Do you think there's such a thing in the world? I'll let you awaken the power in your soul. Enough, all of you, stop arguing. I'll listen to whoever can help me quickly improve my strength. I am a very pragmatic person, Zhou Yang suddenly shouted. Deep within his sea of wisdom, a will of his own emerged. All right, I'll help you increase your strength right now. I'll forcefully open up your spirit power. At this point, the infinite spirit existence system began to draw on its power. You want Zhou Yang to become a heretic? I won't allow it. The immortal everlasting creation system sent out its power as well. In the blink of an eye, the two powers clashed within Zhou Yang's sea of consciousness. Instantly, Zhou Yang felt a splitting headache. The power of these two systems could destroy the heavens and rend the earth. It was even more boundless than the power of the universe itself. As the two systems battled, their power cancelled each other out, silently altering Zhou Yang's body. No one knew how long the two systems had been fighting for. Suddenly, the infinite spiritual existence or non-existence system changed violently and enveloped the immortal and eternal creation system. The two of them made a crackling sound. The immortal everlasting creation system let out a shocked voice. You want to die with me? What are you trying to do? After we perish together, the power will be injected into Zhou Yang's body, causing him to become an existence that neither the old nor the new world can control. Is Gu Dusha trying to create an existence that even he can't control? Chapter 1076. Losing control. The infinite mind existence system and the immortal and eternal creation system were actually going to perish together. One of the two systems was a cube created by Gu Chensha, while the other was a sphere created by the old world's will. The two systems entered Zhou Yang's body and competed with each other in an attempt to control Zhou Yang. However, the two systems were in a stalemate. Then, the infinite spiritual existence and non-existence system activated the technique of mutual destruction. This almost drove the other immortal and eternal creation system crazy. This was because it would create a freak, a Zhou Yang that no one could control. Zhou Yang's cultivation would absorb the two systems and reach a monstrous level. Moreover, he was neither from the new world nor the old world. Instead, he would become a terrifying existence. But now that was what Gu Chensha had done. At this moment, Gu Chensha was still far away, observing Zhou Yang's changes in the nine mysterious universe. He was doing this on purpose. He didn't want the old world to control Zhou Yang, and he didn't want to control this person either. He wanted to separate himself from the two changes and see what realm he could grow to. This was interesting and could also disrupt the changes of the old world's will. Moreover, after this person left his control, he could give Gu Chensha more insight. If everything was in his hands, how boring would things become? Moreover, he had added such a variable to the world and could disrupt the structure of the old world's will. This made it impossible for the old world's will to give birth to a true protagonist. Of course, this protagonist could be Zhou Yang, but Zhou Yang happened to be in this big explosion, causing the old world's will to lose control of him. In short, Gu Chensha had created an enemy or variable for himself, and he had also created a variable and enemy for the old world's will. He did it for fun. He didn't want everything to be in his hands. This way, the old worlds will didn't know whether to laugh or cry. If the old worlds will could take human form, it would definitely curse Gu Chernsha for harming others without benefiting himself. Unfortunately, Gu Chernsha did things that harmed others without benefiting himself. This was actually a kind of sublimation for him. In fact, it was greatly beneficial to him. It was precisely because he couldn't control himself that he was able to comprehend many principles from Zhou Yang. The system created by the old world's will and the system created by him dissolved and collided with each other. In the end, the two perished together, giving birth to a brand new power. This power was extremely mysterious. It seemed to be some sort of brand new system that contained the supreme cultivation and profound meanings of the old and new worlds. Rumble. After an unknown period of time, the systems of the old world and the new world were destroyed at the same time and fused together to form a unique system that belonged to Zhou Yang. In the courtyard where Zhou Yang resided, an incomparably mystical aura reverberated continuously. Zhou Yang was immersed in it. Suddenly, he roared, "Ha ha ha! If this chapter is not finished, please turn the page." Chapter 1077. Arrogant and despotic. After his fortuitous encounter, Zhou Yang was unbelievably arrogant. He had forced his father, Zhou Yuhao, from the very beginning. Of course, he had the right to do so. Having fused the two systems, he was now in the new world, and the origin of the old world couldn't restrain him anymore. He had the strongest combat arts and was adept at hiding. As long as he used his power, no one in the heavenly planes would be able to find him. Of course, Gu Chernsha was an exception. Gu Chernsha had created him for fun, but this accident was within Gu Chensha's expectations. Because Gu Chernsha had fused his own system with the old world system, he knew that it would change and give birth to an existence that he couldn't control. Therefore, this accident wasn't really an accident. Of course, Zhou Yang didn't know that. The only thing he knew was that the two strongest overlords in the world, Gu Chernsha and the will of the old world, both wanted to control him. But because of their battle, they died together, pouring their power into his body, making him the strongest existence in the world. Because of this, he felt that he could do whatever he wanted. I am the king of fortuitous encounters. Since ancient times, there have been countless protagonists and important figures who have had unimaginable fortuitous encounters, but none of them can compare to mine. My fortuitous encounter is the true fortuitous encounter. I am the strongest existence among all fortuitous encounters. I am the king of fortuitous encounters. That was what Zhou Yang was thinking about all the time. Now, he stood in front of his father, Zhou Yuhao, as if he was looking at his own slave. Unfilial son, even if you kill me, I won't rebel with you. If I had known, I would have killed you. Grand Tutor Zhou Yuhao wouldn't compromise. He might not be Zhou Yang's match, but he wouldn't let Zhou Yang's scheme succeed, even if he had to. Zhou Yuhao, you are my father. I don't want to turn you into a walking corpse unless it's absolutely necessary. Actually, the reason you haven't rebelled is because you don't think there's much hope. There are many experts in the imperial court, and besides you, there's also the Grand Preceptor and the Grand Protector. There are also the 9 ministers, the 18 kings, the 36 marquises, the various nobles, as well as countless high officials and generals. Their strength isn't any weaker than yours. You might have a high status now, but if you rebel, you'll die immediately. You won't have any chance. But let me tell you, your worries are unfounded. My strength is enough to change the entire 9 profound cosmos. Even if they combine their strength, I can kill them all. Right now, I can increase the clan's strength by tens of times, maybe even 1,000 times. I can also increase your strength to the point where you can defeat the Emperor. Aren't you a lot more confident now that you have such strength? Zhou Yang laughed. He enjoyed this feeling very much. Zhou Yuhao, who used to be high and mighty and couldn't even be bothered to look at him, was now angry and helpless, which made him very happy. He couldn't bear to turn Zhou Yuhao into a walking corpse, not because of the relationship between father and son, but because he wanted to enjoy the feeling of being trampled on. Unfilial son, you unfilial son. If you have the ability, kill me. At this moment, Zhou Yuhao felt that even suicide would be very difficult. Why would I kill you? Zhou Yang suddenly thought of something else. His body trembled, and a huge amount of data descended, directly entering Zhou Yuhao's body. A moment later, the gigantic chains in Zhou Yuhao's body were broken. His spirit force gushed forth, causing the heavenly realm in his body to rise up bit by bit. Not long after, it reached its limit and underwent a transformation. Boundless energy gushed forth, transforming endlessly. Energy gushed forth, and the entire world was filled with the concept of the heavenly Tao. At this moment, Zhou Yuhao's spirit force awakened, and he became a heretic. In other words, he was an existence that the nine profound cosmos couldn't tolerate. However, his cultivation base had already reached the heavenly Tao. I've become a heretic, no. Zhou Yuhao's voice was terrifying, and it sounded like he was crying and laughing at the same time. He wanted to destroy himself, but he couldn't. At this moment, he was in a state where he could neither live nor die. What heretic? This is nothing more than brainwashing. The nine profound cosmos is just a small cosmos, and the restrictions on people who awaken their spirit force are actually the work of the will of the old world. Once you awaken your spirit force, your cultivation base will become extremely tyrannical. Of course, don't throw away some things from the old world. I've already fused the will of the old world and the new world into one. Now that the new and the old are one, I'm invincible. Think about it. In the future, when our family rules the nine profound cosmos, we can enslave all our enemies. I know that Grand Preceptor Zhang Jiahao is our mortal enemy. His son killed one of my brothers, and he even raped and killed one of my sisters. You just swallowed that insult and humiliation for the sake of the imperial court. When I brought it up to you during the family banquet, you flew into a rage and crippled my cultivation base, forcing me to spend 3 years in prison. I still remember this matter. Zhou Yang's voice suddenly grew intense. Slowly, Zhou Yuhao calmed down. You're amazing. Who would have thought that such a character would appear among my sons? But can you really make our Zhou clan the hegemon of the nine profound cosmos? You should know that the power of the imperial family cannot be underestimated. Don't be fooled by the fact that the Emperor of the Nine Profound Cosmos is only at the heavenly Tao realm, but the entire imperial family is deeply connected to the immemorial cosmos. In fact, the immemorial cosmos' newest superpower, the supreme ancestor of the immemorial cosmos, is their backer. Zhou Yuhao stopped cursing and started discussing the feasibility of the matter with his son. Ha ha ha! Zhou Yang laughed again. Not bad, not bad. Zhou Yuhao, I knew you were a character. What's all this talk about loyalty? I've already been turned into a heretic by you. I can no longer be a grand preceptor of the imperial court. If this matter is exposed, we'll be annihilated immediately. Our Zhou clan might even be exterminated by the imperial court. Zhou Yuhao's expression was savage. For the sake of the clan, I have no choice but to join hands with you, an unfilial son. Don't worry. Zhou Yang's eyes flickered when he heard the words, unfilial son. He secretly made up his mind. After using Zhou Yuhao, he would completely destroy him, kill him, or even imprison him. He would make him suffer for eternity to relieve the hatred in his heart. This brat is cruel and unscrupulous. He definitely won't let me go. When Zhou Yuhao saw the look in Zhou Yang's eyes, he knew that this brat wanted to kill him. After using him, this brat would definitely burn the bridge after crossing it, consigning him to eternal damnation. But right now, he couldn't do anything to this brat. Calm down, there's still a chance. Zhou Yuhao calmly calculated, revealing his wily side. Perhaps this is an opportunity for me. My unfilial son has just had a fortuitous encounter, so he doesn't know how to use it well. Otherwise, he could have secretly placed chess pieces in the family, and with his power, he could control the entire family in a short time. Then, he could act against me, and at that time, I wouldn't have any chance to resist. What he's done now proves his weakness. What I can do now is to borrow his power to increase my own power and destroy the imperial court. If I devour those experts, my cultivation base will be guaranteed. Also, I can bring in the strongest experts from the other universes to fight against this counterattack. While they're fighting, I can control the 9 universe, and then I can promote it to the next level. At that time, I might even obtain supreme power. That way, I won't be afraid of this unfilial son, and instead, I'll suppress and kill him. In an instant, Zhou Yuhao thought of thousands of schemes in his mind. Each one was extremely vicious. Things like diverting the disaster to someone else, deceiving the heavens, and killing someone with a borrowed knife. Each was more vicious than the last. As expected of the imperial court's grand tutor, his schemes are outstanding. Outside the 9 mysterious universe, Gu Chunxia secretly observed the changes. He had finally created a variable, and if he didn't observe it carefully, it would be a waste of all his schemes. Originally, Zhou Yang was one of the main characters of the old world. There were thousands of other main characters like him in the multiverse. Later on, these main characters would devour each other until a person who could control the true meaning of the old world was born. However, Zhou Yang was no longer a main character of the old world. He had broken free from the old world's control, but he was stronger than any of the main characters. Soon, he would reach the undying realm. This was something that Gu Chunxia had created on purpose. Of course, the old world wasn't willing to give up. The will of the old world would continue to create main characters who would devour Zhou Yang and gain control of the old world. That way, they would be a threat to Gu Chunxia. Interesting. Zhou Yang might have obtained unparalleled power, but his temperament isn't mature enough. Right now, he's fighting with his father. Although he has full control of the situation, if there's an outside power supporting him, then he'll probably fall into a dangerous situation. For example, Mr. Endless will definitely know about this and secretly help Zhou Yuhao. If that happens, Zhou Yang will be in danger. In the end, Zhou Yang was still lacking in schemes. He wanted to immediately take control of the 9 mysterious universe and upgrade it. That way, he could quickly reach the undying realm. It was a good idea, but it would cause too much of a commotion. Moreover, he was too vengeful. If he wanted to enjoy the feeling of being trampled on, he should be more vicious and turn Zhou Yuhao into a puppet. Take action immediately and don't dawdle. Gu Chunxia shook his head. Chapter 1078. Chapter 1073. A chaotic mess. The 9 profound cosmos was undergoing a huge transformation. However, this transformation was actually a good thing. If the 9 profound cosmos was pushed by Zhou Yang, it would directly transform into a supreme universe, allowing Zhou Yang to become an undying expert. The will of the old world definitely didn't wish for Zhou Yang to become an undying expert. However, Gu Chunxia hoped that Zhou Yang would grow stronger and cause chaos. In fact, Gu Chunxia even hoped that Zhou Yang would become a threat to him. Kill! In the 9 profound cosmos, the Zhou clan had already broken into the royal palace. Large numbers of palace guards were killed. Everyone in the Zhou clan had awakened their spirit force. With the help of Zhou Yang's system, their strength had increased by 1,000 times. Also, as long as they were under the protection of the system, they would be undying. After they died, they could be directly revived by the system, inheriting all their memories and cultivation bases. Originally, those who had awakened their spirit force couldn't be revived. However, Zhou Yang's system had gathered all the essences of the old world and the new world. It was actually able to combine the two. This was also Gu Chencha's research topic. Jin Suebua had died while trying to break through to the undying realm. Gu Chensha wanted him to be resurrected, so he had created Zhou Yang as a variable. However, Zhou Yang's system could resurrect anyone below the Celestial Master realm. In other words, only those who had not cultivated the power of immortality could be resurrected. Once the power of immortality brewed within their bodies, it would be very difficult to resurrect them. In the past, sages could be revived. But once an Empyrean died, they would be completely destroyed. Because Empyreans were known as divergents, they had grasped a portion of undying energy. Although this undying energy was extremely faint and illusory, it was still at the undying realm. After enjoying undying energy, one had to pay the price. Within the 9 Profound Empire's royal palace, Emperor Xian Gai Dao was bathed in blood as he sat on his throne. He looked at Grand Tutor Zhou Yuhao, as well as many of the other Zhou clan disciples. He coughed up blood. "Grand Tutor, I trusted you so much, and yet you rebelled. You're a traitor, and you won't have a good ending. Your strength actually increased so quickly. You must have had some fortuitous encounter. Your Majesty, the multiverse is changing with each passing day. If our entire universe wants to develop, we can't just close ourselves off. I came here on behalf of the will of the 9 Profound Cosmos. The will of the 9 Profound Cosmos feels that Your Majesty's wanton slaughter of people with awakened souls is destroying the entire universe's development, making it impossible for the 9 Profound Cosmos to become a superpower. That's why the fortuitous encounter I had was the essence of the 9 Profound Cosmos. It's not that I'm rebelling, it's that the universe's essence has abandoned you," said Zhou Yuhao. He had prepared this speech a long time ago. Rebellion required righteousness. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to quickly calm the hearts of the people. In the 9 Profound Cosmos, what reputation could be greater than the origin of the universe? Therefore, Grand Tutor Zhou Yuhao used the origin of the universe as an excuse. "Shut up!" Emperor Xian Gai Dao roared. "Traitor, you dare to use the universe's source as an excuse? My Xian family is the chosen one, and the universe's source is our backing. Since you dared to invade us, you must be relying on a heretic. If this chapter is not finished, please turn the page. Baidu search keywords, BookPalm PP, or directly visit the official website and hashtag. Chapter 1079. Chapter 1074. A vicious infighting. Although they were working together to unite the 4 realms, they were constantly scheming and plotting against each other, and all of them wanted to devour each other and take the position of Lord of the 4 realms. In the most critical moment, Mehuli and Fa Wuxian joined forces to attack Zhao Jiangshan. Fa Wuxian was still a dead man, but his sealing mark was still wreaking havoc. If he wanted to be resurrected, he would have to sacrifice a powerful entity to replace him in death. That way, his sealing mark would be nourished, and he would be able to rise to the consummate deathless level. But Zhao Jiangshan was not an idiot. He had long been prepared for this. Therefore, he had been plotting in secret, waiting for Mehuli and Fa Wuxian to make their move so that he could strike first. With power surged out of Zhao Jiangshan's body, forming an inescapable net that swept upwards. It actually wrapped around the gourd, trying to capture it. In recent days, I've refined the essence of the 4 realms, which I call the Grand Void Heaven-Toppling Fusion Vital Refinement Art. I can use the power of the void to overturn the heavens and topple the earth, and refine the myriad worlds into essence. This is my true Taoist magic. Thousands of kilometers of rivers and mountains, and the sun and moon rise from the east. The net transformed into countless mountains and rivers, and the sun and moon surged. Dazzling civilizations could be seen everywhere, and in that moment, Zhao Jiangshan actually looked a bit like Gu Chernsha back in the day. Back when Gu Chernsha had used the dragonless mental magic, billions of civilizations had been born, and then destroyed. After the destruction, new civilizations had been born. Right now, Zhao Jiangshan seemed to have comprehended this principle as well. Not good, Fa Wuxian said. He's drawing on the power of the multiverse, and the will of hatred is still there. Shocked, he could sense that the bottle gourd was no longer under his control. Ha ha ha, Fa Wuxian, the person I'm guarding against is you. Have you forgotten how you died back then? You died under the siege of the wills of the myriad realms. It was because of your perverse actions that you went around devouring the universes, which incurred the wrath of the universe. In the end, they killed you. And now, after so many years, I've actually created many universes and merged them into one entity with the will of the multiverse. It's all because Gu Chernsha turned me into a bull, opened up the void, and gave birth to worlds. Now, I've once again used you as a target of hatred to incite the hatred of the myriad realms, causing them to once again return to the terror that ruled over you. That way, the myriad worlds will be afraid of you coming back to life, and will naturally send their power to me. Your bottle gourd is powerful, but compared to the myriad worlds and the multiverse, you still can't beat it. If you come back to life, you'll be at the invincible deathless level, and the will of the multiverse won't be able to do anything to you. Unfortunately, you're just a dead man and a brand. You can't draw on the power of the invincible deathless. In other words, the power of the bottle gourd isn't even a tenth of its full power. Then, why should I be afraid of you? I've been waiting for you to come back to life. Zhao Jiangshan laughed out loud. His method against Fa Wuxian was ingenious. He used the hatred of the multiverse to deal a fatal blow to Fa Wuxian. Fa Wuxian had done too many evil things, and had devoured countless universes in the past, causing the will of the universe to hate him to the bone. How could they let him come back to life? This was something that Zhao Jiangshan had planned for a long time ago. If this chapter is not finished, please continue to the next page. Baidu search keywords BookPalm PP or directly visit the official website and hashtag. Chapter 1080. Chapter 1075. Victory and defeat. Ha ha ha, I'll do it now. Zhao Jiangshan had been in cahoots with Zhang Ziren for a long time, so he knew Gu Huasha would take action. However, Zhao Jiangshan had other plans. He definitely wouldn't save Zhang Ziren. Instead, he wanted to devour Zhang Ziren and Gu Huasha. He wanted to use their fate and flesh as sacrifices to speed up the process of devouring the gourd and merging the four worlds together. That way, he could reach the undying realm. In the four directions of heaven and earth, the stars spread out, the sun and moon desolate, the emperor of the universe. An ancient incantation came from Zhao Jiangshan's mouth. Immediately, an extremely dazzling light appeared on his body. The light condensed into the strongest chains and runes. Gu Huasha, it won't be easy for you to fight me for the title of the old world. I just so happened to comprehend a mystical art in the process of creating the world. It's called towering myriad transformations without sacrifice, without Tao. I'll show you. The so-called sacrifice is without sacrifice, and the so-called great Tao is without Tao. This is the undying foundation I comprehended, the undying realm. In fact, undying is secondary. The key is the word without. You sensed it too, so you seized the opportunity to call yourself the Nihility ancestor. Unfortunately, you've been bound too deeply by the old world, and the undying realm isn't the old world's realm, so you haven't been able to comprehend it. You should know that the highest realm in the old world is the heavenly Tao. Later, when you fused with Gu Taxian, it became the undying realm. Zhao Jiangshan was indeed the first person to reach the heavenly Tao realm. He activated the mystical art he comprehended, and it was a Tao of without sacrifice. In the depths of his heart, an extremely powerful sacrificial power was born. The sacrificial power turned into nothingness, but within that nothingness, everything around him changed. In the blink of an eye, the power of the sacrificial offering permeated the gourd, and Fa Wuxian's brand screamed miserably. Sacrifice, fate, suppress. Suddenly, Zhao Jiangshan made a grabbing motion. He grabbed the weakest Teddy, Lin Yu, and crushed him into powder, turning him into sacrificial power that rushed into the gourd. No, I, Teddy Lin Yu, am the chosen one. I won't die here. The Arcana world's divine axiom, hurry up and bless me. I'm going to reverse the situation and kill Zhao Jiangshan. Although Teddy Lin Yu was crushed, his will was still struggling, trying to turn the tables. Ha ha ha, the chosen one? There were too many children of destiny now. Not to mention that you were just the will of the arcane world. Even if you were the protagonist favored by the will of the old world, you were still being devoured by each other. Ever since you appeared out of nowhere, you've been mediocre. You've never done anything meaningful to the Arcana world, so the will of the world has actually abandoned you. Now you're going to do one last thing for the Arcana world. With a single thought from Zhao Jiangshan, the Teddy Lin Yu was completely crushed. Then, Fa Wuxian's imprint was directly suppressed, and a large portion of its fate was weakened. Very good, not bad. Fa Wuxian, to think that you would still have so much fate left in your imprint. However, in front of me, all of that fate can be weakened. Mehuli, come at me as well. Thereafter, Zhao Jiangshan grabbed Mehuli. Originally, Mehuli, Lin Yu, Lin Xiaofan, and the others were also about to be captured by Zhao Jiangshan, but they were rescued by the fourth Gu Huasha. This chapter is not finished, please continue to the next page. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.